Hello and welcome to another episode of 10 Thoughts with Kobe and Keen. How you doing, my friend?
Doing just fine, as fine as anyone can do these days.
Which is about what, like a 3? Like that's like our max nowadays.
Yeah. No, 3 we take those.
Yeah, we definitely take those.
Threes are good days. It's like, and it also varies throughout the day as well. I also wanted to say a happy belated birthday to you. Did you have a chance to? I don't know if "celebrate's" the right word, but perhaps you had a get together online somewhere.
My quarantine birthday, Travis took me out to one of my favorite Thai food places to get takeout, and that was about as out as we went.
Hey, we'll take those. Thai food, feels good. I did want to open up by asking you just a quick. In the last year, what was, in honor of your birthday, what is one thing that you are proud of that you have accomplished?
Oh man. In the last year, one thing I'm proud of accomplishing. Honestly, it's a really small thing then, and it's super recent. It was right before quarantine. Um, Me and Dash James, after All Stars, we scheduled a vacation because that's one of the only times in the year where where we have any time off.
Yeah.
And so we got to go traveling right before quarantine, before all the lockdown, and we went to Vietnam and Thailand. And we decided we were just going to go backpacking, just like the old days, like we're broke college kids just staying in hostels and meeting other travelers and separating ourselves completely from esports, from online life. And the second hostel that we went to in Vietnam, at one of the gatherings at night downstairs, there's this guy who came up. He didn't even really speak English, this Vietnamese guy, but he spoke enough. And he came up to us and he was like, "Kobe, Dash, my heroes." And I was just like, it felt so crazy to get recognized like in this small town in Vietnam. And he was just so happy. And so we just started chatting with him. And for hours and hours, and because there were other people around to translate.
Yeah.
And the amount of thanks that he had after just meeting and talking to us just made me feel really good. And I hadn't, had a moment like that where you felt like you generally like really made someone's day a lot better in quite a while. And haven't had that for the rest of the year after after 2020. So I think just even looking back to that, looking at some of these good times we can have a positive impact on people.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love Vietnam. I remember talking to Double Lift, and he said that in Vietnam, and people know this, I think, often about China, but they don't really know in Vietnam the players are also treated as like S tier celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to see that if during MSI last year in person. It was crazy to the point where like I am somebody who I have like a modest following, but I actually had somebody come up and ask me for a photo just randomly when I was sitting there. I was sitting by one of my, I don't know if you know Iris, she's one of the Chinese like LPL hosts. And they came up and with a camera and like kind of gestured. And I was like, oh, sure, I'll take a photo. Because I thought they wanted to take a photo with her. And they're like, no, we want a photo with you. And I was like, well, wow.
Why?
Yeah, why? It was so very cool. Love the country. Make sure when we get out of this quarantine bubble, if we ever get out of this quarantine bubble, to go show Kobe some appreciation if you see him in person.
As far as league topics though, every time when we finish the dive, I always feel like I have a little bit of hanging fruit to go after. And one of the discussions I really like that was brought up is the interview that Licorice did last weekend afterwards. And it was after the Wukong game. And he was talking about how specifically for him and for top lane, he felt like a lot of the players are behind in picking up and exploring new champions. Now, this is a broader overall topic, not just top lane, that I feel like is really important in moving a whole region forward in any strategy game. Because I'm reminded of the Sun Tzu quote, actually: "Know yourself and know your enemy before you enter battle." And it's such a big part of any strategy game, cards games, like arena games, duel games, anything like that. You have to play all the other characters to know what their options are and what they're going to do, so that you can have their motives and their options in your mind when you're trying to make your play, and when you're trying to come up with counters before them. So even beyond just using the new OP champion, spending the time to know the ins and outs so that you can play against them, I feel like is really important. And with him bringing up this topic, I thought it uh, it was really a big issue that for the entire region.
Do you think it's particularly like more so of a problem in top lane? I actually talked to Emily Rand about this very specific topic, and she mentioned because I had posited, well, maybe NA teams are just more comfortable than other regions leaving their top laners on an island. And she had kind of responded saying that actually the LPL also tends to just leave their top laners on an island. But the difference is the top laners there love to just slam their faces into each other, and so they will keep fighting and fighting. And of course they got guys like Zoom and the Shy up there. There's a lot of talented top laners. Do you feel like is it a product of just do we condition them to play too safely? Is it because Impact was kind of top dog for a while? Like, is it because Huni's no longer in the league that they're not willing to kind of have these duels? Because top lane is famously in solo queue, all top laners loved, like, they want the old Ignite meta back. They want Jax or Sorellia. They want to just brawl. But in pro play, it has historically never been that kind of meta. It's always been tank versus tank. Is it something that's unique to NA? Is it like, what do you
It's
think?
definitely not unique to NA. I feel like some of it can be they don't think X thing is good, or they're they're not good on it, so they're like, okay, it's probably going to get nerfed. I'm not going to waste my time on it. Time is a very precious commodity. I think the big problem comes when you take the next step up to international competition, because the best teams from around the world have that time. Maybe it doesn't take them as much time. Maybe they're just better at it, but they're going to have these other options, and so you have to have these tools prepared when you meet at this level. And again, I don't think this is specific to top lane. There was a bunch of Reddit posts about Magic Felix in EU, where it's like, I reached Challenger with a different account on each specific role. And it's been a conversation for years with a lot of Korean pros where they queue as other roles for solo queue, to not just learn other champions, but all the other roles, so you understand better, without having to have so much communication with your teammates, what they need, where they can go, what they can do. And so there is always this big ceiling, and it feels like the ceiling in League of Legends is so just enormously high, because there are so many different interacting parts. But everything that you can do to get closer to that ceiling and understand more parts of the game are going to make you a more holistic player, a stronger player for your team. And in top lane, there are a lot of matchups that if you're practicing it and you get beat 1v1, it's just instantly feels so bad. So maybe there's this extra barrier that's holding people back, because if you hit this big speed bump of like, all right, well, I played this into Renekton and he slammed me, and then turns out I can't do anything. So, you can't really do anything with this champion. Then that can be a blocker, because like you're saying, it's so isolated. If you get behind like that in a solo queue game or something, and you don't have coordination with the team, there's not a lot you can do. So there can be some confounding factors, but I just kind of like the overall idea of this kind of extremely high ceiling and expansive knowledge that you can have as a pro player, with everything constantly changing with patches in League of Legends. There's just so much that you can always be doing.
So I don't understand then why Wukong was not picked up in NA. Like, we saw graphs where Wukong was one of the top 10 picks worldwide, and it took and this was throughout the split, right? It took all the way up until this past week for NA to pick Wukong, and it's not like we were banning it or it was like teams were just straight up ignoring Wukong. I don't personally understand why that happened. Is it something that did they just not perform on scrims, where teams just hesitant to try it? Like what about the Wukong pick? Because it doesn't even feel like it's particularly difficult to pick up. Like Wukong is not a complicated champion. You know, it's not like you have to learn Akali and like hit all these weird things. Wukong R, you get 2 Rs now. You get to spin twice. There's a lot of point and click built into that kit. Like why did you get any insight as to why teams were avoiding this Wukong pick?
No, I mean the only thing that you can kind of hypothesize is that it does have a lot of matchups that are that can be difficult in the 1v1, like I was talking about earlier, but is always going to bring this big team fight. And then you can point at things like the win rates for, you know, beginning of LEC, notoriously lost all the games, and then people can kind of use that when the coach is like, all right, we need to practice this, you know, look at the solo queue win rate and look at the play rate, the presence in famously LPL was so high. I can kind of point to that and looking for immediate success rather than you know, trying to incorporate that. So without being inside the teams, you're not going to have a specific excuse for each team.
Yeah, I just feel like, here's my theory, okay? I think, you know that meme where it's 2 monkeys fighting in the middle with a knife and a bunch of people kind of looking at it?
Simpsons.
I think the NA teams are subconsciously afraid of being called monkey fighting kind of teams, and so that's why they didn't want to pick Wukong. I think it's I believe another Sun Tzu quote is mind over matter.
Yeah.
I don't actually know who came up with that
quote. Mind over matter. I don't know if that one checks out.
So somebody's gonna tag me like, man, this Asian kid with long hair is a dumbass. He doesn't even know these quotes, right? So I wanted to take the draft kind of question here, and I'm gonna jump into the mind of our friendly commenters, often Redditors, and I'm gonna throw a couple hot takes out here, which I have to clarify, I don't always agree with them, but I see these hot takes very commonly on Reddit, post-match threads, on Twitter, what have you. And the first one ties into the draft and TSM specifically, and I'm going to don my Redditor hat real quick and throw this at you. So actually, I think that Parth is really bad at drafting, and TSM would win so much more games if they knew how to draft properly. It just feels like all of TSM's games are lost in draft, and Parth has no idea what he's doing.
So we can actually say for pretty much all of the 4-2 teams that a lot of their losses, they're just big question marks in the draft. If you look at TSM, the Kane game specifically, everyone's gonna be like, oh my god, like he didn't transform for 23 minutes. So you can write that one off. And then the Syndra early pick, then flexing a late mid fiddlesticks, tank fiddlesticks, and having more than half of your team be super AP heavy and not having anything to cut through tanks later. We have such a narrow win condition of having to snowball early, and whenever you get down to that of like, okay, well, all we can do is hope that we smash early to win, and you cut off so many options later. Yeah, I mean, there are just so many games right now where people are looking at how important the draft is, and it's not just TSM. There you have the ones for FlyQuest with the farming Senna, when a lot of their team is looking for scaling, and they're playing versus split push, and Senna has terrible wave control. So there are just so many instances right now where there are a bunch of drafts. EG is another great example. All right, they pick Kassadin versus Cloud9, the best early game smashing team that has Olaf Yumi combo, and you're picking Kassadin. It's like, all right, we'll throw that one out. Oh, the next one they pick Karma for Jizuke, and it's like, oh my god, another terrible draft. So
is there? I don't disagree that they are in a vacuum bad drafts, but I'm going to throw this out there and say I think there is value in doing these types of drafts, especially in the regular season when, and again, it's and this is a stat that kind of, I don't know if I'm just going to say it bothers me, is 0-6 Dignitas is one game out of the playoffs right now. That makes the regular season, to me, at this point in the summer split, a great time to experiment. And when you have drafts like, oh, hey, we have this Kassadin, for example, on Jizuke. We know Cloud9 is just going to destroy us in early game. So why don't we put ourselves in a situation where if they mess up on dives, or if we are able to hang in there, we have this ticking time bomb that could go off and potentially beat them later. And we can try this out now and see if that's at all a possibility. Like, see how well Cloud9 actually responds to punishing a Kassadin. And I think maybe TSM was trying a few different things early on in the season, because it's one of these things where, and I think we saw this with Team Liquid frequently, was they would play through double lift and win the game if bot lane got ahead and could rotate around. And when they hit the international stage, they couldn't do that as easily because double lift stopped winning lane. And it started making you wonder, oh, you know, what if they had tried and practiced and emphasized a few other types of styles throughout the year. That's my counterpoint is,
yeah, and I think that teams should be trying these things. I think that teams having games where people can blame it on draft, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yes.
And it kind of comes back to the earlier conversation we're having about people being on the cutting edge and trying to expand. You should always be looking at these new picks, try and be on the cutting edge of the meta, because the designers have stated that it is their goal for new champions and rework champions to be strong so that people play them and try them, and the champion just doesn't go down to a 2% play rate and then nobody picks it up later. So if that is the goal, if there's constantly going to be new powerful things, then that's the game that you have to play. And it brings up the age-old question of comfort champions versus playing the buffed new champions.
Yeah.
And the argument for putting your players on their comfort champions over time, I think has started to wear away, because it seems a bit more short-sighted. And teams are now really looking at the longer play. And if you develop that skill of, these are going to be the ways in which I practice the new champions, because teams need to have a process. If you get down, and FLICKR has even talked about his of having all these 1v1 top lane duels with Fudge, having more intense and focused practice in these ways. All right, this new thing is released on live. That means that competitive is going to pick it up in a couple of weeks. Let's get on that. We need to practice the ins and outs of trading in lane. We need to practice how we're going to use it with the rest of the team. What are the weaknesses of the opponent team that we have to figure out? And you have to have this process ready when you go to international competition.
So stylistically, when you are looking at comfort versus like what is meta, I think this applies also to how a team plays the game. And so and I mentioned this briefly with TSM in specific, this is a thing I'm kind of looking at, is TSM, if they wanted to play through bot lane, and this is how Team Liquid essentially won 4 straight titles, was
double lift.
Bot lane would win, and this is how you win game through bot lane, is you pick a winning bot lane, you give them resources early, whether it's ganks or you have a mid laner roam down or a top lane TP behind, you get them ahead, they take the turret, you rotate them to other lanes, they take other turrets because you're ahead on tempo, and then you just keep going through, and eventually you've taken all the outer ring of turrets before the other team can, and then you snuff them out at Dragon, at Rift Herald, at Baron, just because you have better vision, better map control. That is essentially the formula for how Team Liquid would win game after game after game, and that's how they won the LCS 4 years in a row. Cloud9 has come in and kind of upended that formula with a different style, one that I think is more internationally focused in terms of mid-jungle. I am curious if, like, it's not even a question for me, is I actually think it's not a question, it's just a fact that TSM could win if they played through double lift.
So they have.
And they have.
Yeah, they like, definitely could. And they have also shown it.
And this past week, especially, we saw with Parth, with TSM in their draft when they let Varus through, and then they immediately had a pick in Kalista in mind, and they completely destroyed the Varus pick. They were ready to just attack it over and over. And the game ended up dragging out, but at least in lane phase, I did not feel like Varus had any sort of impact. And that to me felt like a good instance of, hey, here, we're just going to let this thing through and we have something prepared for it. Like that felt like a good TSM draft for me. And I'm kind of curious though, is that, because we talked about the cover and you were kind of saying like, well, we need to move on from that. And I'm kind of like, could TSM actually threaten Cloud9 if they just kept playing through Doublelift, or is that not feasible?
First thing is I've got some stats for you, as I know that is one of the favorite pastimes of Jat that he likes to find.
Is there a clever phrase we can, like, because it was Jat stats that rolled really well off the tongue? What is there an equivalent?
So we've done games on like Countdown and stuff where we have Kobe facts, and the Kobe facts up to this point were like, they were a mix of real stats and real questions for the players, and then I'd also always throw in random like nature facts and science facts and just animal things. Like, so that's as close as we got. It doesn't nearly have the same ring as Jat stats, but one of the biggest things for TSM right now, people don't realize, Spica actually currently has the highest jungle proximity with bottom lane of any team in the LCS. He is sitting at 16%. The last place is 7.7. So he's over double the last place team in Evil Geniuses in their amount of time that the jungler spends within 15,000 units. By the way, that's what jungle proximity means, in the first 15 minutes.
What does 15,000 units look like on a map? Do you know what that is?
It is about like a Nidalee spear. It's actually longer than the Nidalee spear currently, as they change the range.
So that's about from one side of like mid lane to the other, right?
You technically could pass by like Try and go up towards Scuttle a bit, and like you dip into the zone and you get a couple seconds there, or you're warding or something. But it's supposed to catch that. It's supposed to catch some attempts that are defensively warding for the lane too. So you get a little bit of feel.
Do you think a jungler has ever like roamed through like by that bush, be like, oh, if I move 2 pixels over, I'll get in the jungle proximity number and make myself look a little better here?
I would say never. I don't think any of them pay any attention to jungle proximity stats.
You got like the one jungler watching this right now and be like, oh, thank God they're not onto me yet. They think I would never do this.
They're like hovering just outside the range for a sneak attack. But Doublelift has proven over and over that that's definitely a player you can play through. I think one of the things with TSM, Bjergsen, especially with this conversation of staying on the cutting edge and all these new champions, he is one of the players that embraces that to the fullest. And he's playing a lot of these do and be style champions, tank fiddlesticks. I've seen him playing AP Nunu mid in solo queue as well. Ooh. He is fully on board with embracing any successful new international styles, and a lot of those incorporate a mid laner also going towards bottom side, not just jungler. And I could definitely see TSM pulling out some of these other mid lane roaming picks for him to try and go that way.
Do we keep a mid lane proximity? Like is there an equivalence for that? Do you happen to know that?
There's one that's it's a little bit more difficult, but it's like I think they put a range on mid lane, and we've used that in the past for 4 caps for Duel and B. I remember using it at Worlds. Of time spent roaming away from mid lane. It is not easy for me to look up right now.
Yeah, of course.
So I won't be able to get them for you right now, but I can guarantee you Niski and Demonte are 2 of the top. I feel like Bjergsen is definitely around there as well, with some of the picks that we talked about. As far as them actually carrying through that half of the map, then you do have to realize for your top side, you have to play differently for Broken Blade. And recently they had him on Shen. I thought that was an extremely good pick, extremely intelligent choice for them as a team. And another way for them to have that look. That's all the time that we have for today. Thank you for watching the dive at 10 Thoughts with Keen. To hear the rest of our thoughts, head over to the full podcast on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And stay tuned for Friday Night League, because we have a full set of games coming up shortly.
Hello and welcome to the LCS Dome powered by Alienware. For Friday Night League, we're looking at some banger tweets, some NA talent, and the new patch heading into week number 4. I'm excited to get into Friday with the usual suspects, but our special guest for this week is Jason Wild Turtle Tran. We have ripped you from your aquarium and plopped you on the desk. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Chilling. Quarantine chilling.
Yeah, I know you're chilling in your chair right now, but hopefully we can get you hopping out of your seat after the games we have planned for tonight. Because everyone watching at home, as per usual for Friday, we've got 2 matches planned ahead for you. First up, it will be 100 Thieves facing off against Golden Guardians, hoping to prove themselves more than the 1-5 team that they currently are. Then we have Counter Logic Gaming having the tall task of facing off against Cloud9. Of course, all of that kicks off soft and sweet at 6 p.m. Pacific time. That gives us a little time to reflect on week number 3, where we had some banger games, but on top of that, some even better social interaction. So, we all here at the desk have brought forth our tweets of the week. I'm going to get things started. Let's have a look. For my tweet of the week, it's come to you hot from... hey! This is actually... Yeah, I had 2 that I was going into. I wasn't sure. This is the one I prefer. So yes, I think this takes a lot of time for Photoshop, and I'm very, very impressed.
It doesn't take a lot of time. It's just like flying through pictures trying to find the right one. I don't know. It looks so funny.
I mean, these are real cat ears.
That's
not
a
little
banger
ones.
for sure.
Yeah, mine is less of a single thing and more of everything Sven Skaren has been tweeting recently. I just love the idea that he has run Live Evil into the ground so far that it's come out the other side and it's funny again. Because when I initially saw it, I was just like, this is such a lame, like, you know, brand thing. But then he's the one that got me was I forget who it was. Someone had gum under the handle of their car door, and he replied "Live Evil" under it. That was the one that got me like on board with this, and just how much he has done it nonstop is incredible.
Yeah, I think that was Acadian's car, so it was good that they happened to play each other or something that week. But this is mine, is Pobelter's tweet about the satisfying feeling about replacing a pink ward on the last moment of their last auto attack to deny the slight morsel of gold, XP, and dopamine. This one speaks a lot to me, mostly because I'm on the opposite end, where I feel the pain of this tweet more, where like right as I'm about to complete the destruction of a pink ward and regain map control, it feels like I was just played with the whole time and teased.
I definitely think the Bobo one is pretty relatable. So
would that be your number 1 tweet?
Yeah, that's my favorite for sure. Yeah.
What?
Well, I only care. Yeah.
I mean, you can actually feel that, you know, like when you're about to kill that word, you can actually feel that tweet. You know, like when you read it, you're like, yeah, I can relate to that.
I do only care about beating Mark though, so Turtle, mine or Mark.
You want second place?
I like the cat ears as well, you know, but I also like Living Evil. But I'll choose the cat ears for now.
All right, that's all I needed.
Close second.
Yeah, second place for me here for our tweets of the week. But there are some other things changing going into this week as well. We do have a new patch coming to us for week number 4. And interestingly enough, most of the changes that have been made are for competitive balance.
Yeah, a lot of the nerfs in particular are targeting some of the most prevalent champions in the game right now, and the level of nerfs varies, depending on the champion. Ornn had some changes to how his passive works that are going to hurt his laning phase a little bit, whereas Yuumi got max mana added to her E mana cost, and that just absolutely guts her. So Ornn saw, a percentage or 2 drop in his at least a solo queue data for his win rate. Yuumi dropped like 5% and is probably completely knocked out of the meta.
And yeah, I think things that have been kind of in the meta that just got buffed was something like Nocturne, where he's been played a bit, but he hasn't been super popularized yet. But now the fact that his passive will reset on jungle camps means he will clear a bit faster. He'll also be a bit healthier. So the fact that now we're seeing a lot more 1-3-1 comps, I would expect to see Nocturne kind of come back in the meta. And then another one is AP Kog'Maw being buffed a bit. It seems like a small buff, only 0.1 ratio on his ultimate, but that's a 40% increase in ability power ratio on that ultimate that's spammable. So the fact that it's a lot of control mages nowadays, I can also see Kog'Maw coming in. I wouldn't expect to see Kog'Maw picked if the enemy has Nocturne, but I definitely see them being interchanged in the meta when you kind of need that kind of poke or long range engage.
And speaking of long range, you look at an item like Death Stance where it's only being changed for ranged champions. Wild Turtle, that in conjunction with the changes to Conquer, how do you feel both of those are going to affect the pro meta?
I don't think it's going to change too much considering Death Stance was already like a really good option for a defensive item, and I think it's still going to be played. I think just in the combination that it has like lifesteal, CDR, armor, MR is just something an AD carry wants as a third item. So
You like all them stats just slammed onto that item, but
yeah.
hey, who doesn't, right? In the end, though, it's not like everything was touched as far as what we've been seeing in the pro meta. There are some that have come up in viability recently that have gone unchanged.
Yeah, so I think Mark's favorite champion that starts with a W and ends with Wukong has been unchanged. Maybe we'll see it now because like Ornn got nerfed. I know that was probably what I think a lot of pros just wanted to play in the top lane against Wukong, but that guy is unnerved. We're seeing Varus unnerved. We also saw TF, who's going to be useful really well in conjunction with Nocturne. You see these like top TPs coming in and stuff like that. Like we're going to be able to see a lot more things like that with like the small Cinder nerf. But yeah, TF, Wukong, Varus not being changed is, you know, pretty surprising for pro play.
Yeah, Volibear as well, not seeing any nerfs. So I think the top lane meta should hopefully start shifting a lot, specifically on this patch, but we'll see.
Another pick that has gone completely unchanged is Varus, both popular for picks and bans. Wild Turtle, why do you think that he still remains at the top of contention?
I mean, his ulti and just his kit is just way too OP right now. I just feel like in lane, he has too many safe ways to deal damage, and I just think it's like his whole entire kit is just insane, right? But it's mostly the fact that he can do damage without really being in any real danger.
And keeping out of danger is where a lot of the teams are looking to be when it comes to their performances in week number 4. Because if we take a look at the standings, yeah, Cloud9 is still nice and hot and heavy right there at the top spot, 6-0. But we still have that cluster going for second place with somebody trying to scratch at the Kings of Cloud9. Then you've got the bottom 4 teams scrambling to save their seasons, which has Golden Guardians in 7th and 100 Thieves in 8th. Which brings us to the ultimate discussion, right? We see Cloud9 there at the top. There's this big kind of trench between them and the rest. And we talked a lot last week about who the contenders are and who the pretenders are when it comes to taking down Cloud9. So CLG, this is our chance. Let's lay it out on the table of whether they are deserving of their 4-2 start. Now, starting off with Wild Turtle, what have you made of their performance so far in summer?
I think COG still has a lot to prove. I think if they beat C9 today, I think they will be in contention to being a second place team. But I think they've struggled to beat some of the bottom teams as well. So I think definitely how they performed today is going to speak a lot.
Yeah, their strength of schedule is something many have referred to.
Yeah, I think I understand the point that some people make about CLG being able to punish mistakes and these kinds of things. But I know some people don't think that they've gotten the respect they deserve. But when you look at their gold graphs, I actually do think that there is a good reason that people are still hesitant to believe in this team that was just 10th place, last split. Of their victories, their opponents have a combined 2 wins between the 4 of them. And even then, when you look at their gold graphs at 20 minutes, only the Golden Guardians win has them with a gold lead there. So it's a case where they tend to kind of struggle through the first 20 minutes of the game before doing a lot better between 20 and 25 minutes. And they definitely deserve a lot of credit for being good at punishing the enemy mistakes during that time frame. But when you look at some of the other teams that are also in the 4-2 territory, they might have better early games and they're better objective control throughout that early game, which is why people are still a little waiting to see where CLG is going to land with this 4-2 clump of teams.
When looking at their performance, yes, the one thing that some have remarked is that capitalizing upon those mistakes of the opponent is part of being a good player. And when looking at a team like CLG, you have to wonder how important that is. So probably when considering that alongside strength of schedule, how much do these weigh in your mind when trying to evaluate whether a team like CLG is in top contention?
I mean, yeah, if you want to be a contender, like you have to be able to punish teams, but that's pretty much the bare minimum. It's not really like you're amazing because you can do this. Like this needs to be just something in your wheelhouse that you can pull out whenever someone gives you a throw. You have to be able to catch it. But you also have to be able to make the leads by yourself or make a lead from a deficit, like from your own like agency of play and not necessarily after someone's mistakes. And I think Cloud9 does a really great job of that. Like here, obviously, an ideal gold graph will be more linear, directly pointing up, but here you can see C9 actually has a deficit in some of their matches, but you can always see it doesn't go that far down, they're not that negative, and then you can always see the trajectory up. You don't see many throws when they actually have a gold lead.
And I think, when we're talking about CLG in the context of their match for C9, no one's really expecting a win, but I think they can go a long way to proving how good they are by comparing their gold graph at the end of that game to the ones that we just saw. If you looked at Team Liquid's, they were the only team to still have a gold lead versus C9 post 20 minutes. And that's why people look at that game and they go, oh, wow, Team Liquid played them really close because they had done something no one had been able to do before. And so Golden Guardians as well, they took a little bit longer before C9, ran away with that game. And those are the kinds of things that we're looking at for CLG today. It'd be great if you can win, and that would go a long, long way to being like, yes, you're in the top 2 conversation. But even just a good game versus C9 is a measuring stick we can use.
That's the scenario that we found ourselves in, right? Where you're not always banking for the win against Cloud9, but at least a positive performance. We're going to step away for a moment to take a commercial break, but as we do, let's take a look at the comms of the champion team as we listen in on Cloud9's Brain Check versus Team Liquid.
Hello, guys, talk.
Hello, 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 hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello.
Eric, can you talk?
Hey, Bobby, I'm here.
I think I'm starting this, by the way. Yo, can you come to us? Yeah. Moving. Okay. Go, see?
Head, come in. We need to come in, I think.
Yeah, I'm flashing on him.
Good.
Okay, go flash. Oh, I hit.
Okay, good. I have heal for you, Eric.
Yeah. Can you help me? I
cannot imagine.
Okay, I'm looking for ult, maybe. Okay. I think you guys
I
can
think we
win
need
this.
to kill H-Shot.
H-Shot's no flash. H-Shot's no flash, I think.
I bubble in 2, Eric.
Trying to ult him. Yeah. Okay, I don't think it's flash. Nissi. Nissi's dead.
Oh.
No, it's bad.
They all flashed?
Yeah, they all flashed. Maybe kill him. No.
Sorry.
I don't know if you have flash. Jungle flash. Top flash.
Okay.
Okay, I'm keeping here. Okay. Can we look at Aatrox?
I don't think we can go too deep.
I can ult him.
Okay.
Okay.
Look. Okay.
No, look at Vulcan.
I'm fine.
Okay, no,
not so much. Hi,
Okay.
Kaiser got hit. Look. Okay,
nice
flash.
Nice. No, it's one HP. They're on me. No flash. No, no flash. I'm coming.
Okay, I'm with you.
I flash. I need to flash. Okay.
Oh, okay,
Aatrox. Okay, jump. I'm pushing mid. I'm 1 HP. I'm hitting the hill. I think there's ours. All you guys. Okay.
Defaulting
on you there. I'm coming.
He flashed. Actually,
Yeah,
no flash. I'm okay.
Okay, son.
I'm going to you too.
Yeah, he's 1 HP. I'm hitting the hill, by the way.
I just used ult.
I'm going to flash.
Yeah, I'm still not there.
Kill.
They're here.
Not down. Yeah. He's chunked. He's dead. He might be dead. He's dead. I know. Yeah, we're all here. Yeah.
You find us here?
Just play safe. Can we do Drake?
Yeah, we can. They're going to see. Did you do Drake while they kill this? I'm dead.
Okay. Just do it. He's gonna try to steal, by the way.
Kai'Sa ult.
Yeah, I'll touch him. They have no vision right now.
Play with Sven, okay? After that.
He's in? I'm coming too.
Chris is up. Play with Sven.
I'm dead.
Fine,
We can win this, by the way. Catch an ult.
Okay. Look in 3 seconds.
Okay.
Look at his flash or what?
Yeah. I'm not looking at Champ no flash.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. I hit.
Yep. Behind you.
Okay.
You're fine.
Yeah.
You have Ocean Soul too? Havoc.
Nice.
Careful, Kai'Sa. Careful. She's mid. She's mid. Can we
back?
Yeah, we can.
No. Oh, they're on me.
Wait, go.
I think I'm fine.
Yeah, stop. Oh, my Kai'Sa here. No ult, Kai'Sa. No flash, Kai'Sa. No flash.
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm trying to get in. Yeah.
1 HP. Kai'Sa no sound here.
No,
behind.
Okay. He's gonna go on me, maybe?
Ahead.
Okay.
I have hooking 1.
I'm ready.
Okay, I'm okay. Nice.
Dead.
Nice.
Yeah, no. I think
Kai'Sa no ult. Kai'Sa no sums, guys.
Okay. Dead. I think we can push this way, by the way.
Yeah, we can see. They're low still, by the Kai'Sa.
Yeah,
no flash.
You have Ocean Soul. I'm fine.
Okay.
Oh, you're not.
Nice. Look at TF. I'm going for more here.
Yeah.
Use Ocean Soul, by the way.
Nice. You're surfing?
They're all dead.
Okay.
Go on top.
Just end, Judge.
Haha, Thieves balanced. Ha! And, please.
Big.
Nice. That's fine, it's over. Man, I was part of one play. Good job.
Welcome back to Friday Night League. We are getting ready for 100 Thieves versus Golden Guardians. But heading into week number 4, 100 Thieves 1-5 currently did make some roster shakeups to try and turn their split around.
Smithy, General Manager of League of Legends at 100 Thieves. Beginning in week 4, we'll be making 2 changes to our starting LCS roster. Firstly, in the jungle, Contracts will be stepping in to replace Meteos. And we're making a second change at the support position, where Academy support Poom will be promoted to the LCS roster to replace Stun. Now, coming into the summer season, fresh off a top 3 regular season finish in spring and a nail-biting 5-game loss to TSM in the playoffs, we had a lot of trust that rolling back our 5-man roster will give us our greatest chance of reaching the ultimate goal, which for 100 Thieves League of Legends is Worlds. Reflecting on the first 3 weeks, where we find ourselves 1-5, we no longer feel like our current trajectory meets our stated goal and the level we require in order to make Worlds. Therefore, for us, roster changes were a logical conclusion in order to start the rebuild towards top 3.
I love that communication by Papa Smithy. You know, it's something that is refreshing to hear, and a clear statement of what they're aiming for, what their reasoning is for the changes that they're making and what they're trying to do. You know, he said we wanted to make Worlds. We saw that, you know, after spring we were in a decent position to make that. After starting 1-5, we no longer feel that way. You know, we're moving out these 2 players. That's still our goal, but we are also bringing in young talent. You know, if you watch that whole video, it's just so great to hear such a clear vision and communication from an organization.
Yeah, and this is a good time to actually be using your academy, because normally there's a lot of hesitation bringing academy up into LCS because there's this kind of Jekyll and Hyde characteristic you would have with a player where you wouldn't know if you're going to get them playing well in scrims and translate that well to stage play. But now we're kind of playing online now, so the stakes are definitely higher than scrims. But this is such a nice transition from Academy to LCS because it's still online. You're not dealing with, you know, fan interaction immediately. You're not dealing with the pink noise in your headset. You're not dealing with the crowd yelling. So you actually get a really nice environment where you can actually show your skill expression and kind of get more comfortable playing against these bigger names. So this time to move players up, I think, is now. It's, you know, it's going to be a lot harder once we go back on stage, and it's going to be a lot bigger of a jump.
And as Mark said, I think we can all speak to appreciating the transparency and what Papa Smithy has offered from an organizational perspective. With all the changes happening across many of these orgs, there have been different approaches from others.
Yeah, I mean, this is my angry segment. I'll put this on for it. Like, I am so annoyed by how some of the orgs are, you know, communicating their decision making and what they're aiming to do. Immortals, you know, they got rid of some of their coaching in GM, but then they gave no clarification for why they're bringing in the players that they're bringing in. Apollo, Hakuho, and Smithy are LCS mainstays. They're not developing talent. You know, this is not a bunch of new guys they brought in. At the same time, they haven't said that they're aiming for Worlds, and that's their goal. So I don't know, are you getting rid of Potluck because you want to make a Worlds push, but then you're also bringing in Insanity and Alorum? So are you saying Alorum is better than Soaz? Like, what is your goal here? And the same thing with Dignitas. You know, like, some of the players that's supposed to be bringing in terms of, you know, Dardoch, Lorlo, and Phoenix is literally 2016 TL Spring top side of the map, and they're bringing them in right now as a team that's struggling. Are you still trying to make Worlds, or is this, you know, like, oh, we're using academy talent, guys, we're really developing new players here? Like, I have no idea what half the orgs that are in this position are even attempting to do, which is why I think they need to take a big example from 100 Thieves there.
All right, I think your flames need a little toning down. Gonna bring in the waters of Sequest to help me do so, shifting a bit from the organizational perspective. Well, Turtle, I want to get your thoughts on the player perspective, because when it comes to veterans versus rookies, a lot are discussing what they offer as individuals. So how would you compare the two in today's climate?
I think you need a good balance of both. I think the veteran should help the rookie just develop his in-game knowledge, because I do think, like, rookies bring a new face to the team, and their mechanics are usually pretty insane. I think one person to mention is just like Blabber. I think he's one who came up from being a rookie, and you can see, like, today he's, like, really good. And I think just because he had that experience, C9 really cultivated him very well. And I just think there's always, like, two sides, you know. Like, I think you need a veteran on the team just to, like, help develop the rookie, but rookies are also very essential as well.
Well, and you mentioned some of the specifics of how Blabber has made it into pro play. It feels like the path now differs greatly from when you were coming up from rookie status. So care to elaborate on what some of those differences are?
Oh, definitely. I think when I was going pro, there weren't that many, I guess, contracts, and you can really jump from team to team. So if you didn't really like your team, you could just like go to another team. And I think nowadays you have to come up through academy, and to get recognized there, you still have to be pretty high in the solo queue ladder. And I do think it's like pretty important still to be high in the solo queue ladder, because that's like the only way you can kind of get your chance anyway. But given that fact as well, I wasn't very high ranked when I went pro, so it's kind of weird.
Well, yeah, and that's the interesting way to look at all of this, right? The differences in evaluating a player. We're looking at Poom as a new face coming into the LCS. He's playing for 100 Thieves, but he's also facing off against Golden Guardians, who, coming off of last weekend, they were 1-1, and they had a rough, albeit victorious game against FlyQuest, using a similar strategy throughout the weekend.
Yeah, they were using the 1-3-1 with Jace and TF, and it was a really good attempt. Their game against Immortals, they played terribly. Demonte tweeted afterwards, this is probably the worst game I've ever played. And then they just ran it right back, which takes a lot of confidence to do, which is nice to see. And they actually executed the 1-3-1 this time properly against FlyQuest.
Yeah, this was using probably one of my favorite champions, Twisted Fate. And I know he had a terrible performance, but yeah, he was able to, get enough confidence to play it again the next day. But yeah, big thing is just TF play is coming back now, and a lot of it is due to the fact that he just has a single target stun on his W, which is probably the most powerful ability that he has other than his global ultimate, which is another lovely thing where you can see him teleporting to the top. And this is mostly coming off of the fact that mid lane meta is not too full of assassins, and that's usually what makes TF's life a little harder. And to add on to TF's flavor is he can port top now with the carry tops, and here you see it's a Jace top. Before, when it was an Ornn tank top meta, you kind of didn't want to have TF porting up there because it would mostly just waste their time. But not only is top having more damage, but also the jungle is having a lot more damage. You see the Nidalees, the Graves, the Kindreds, these all pair really well with TF and just make him really valuable. So the fact that you have a mid laner who doesn't do that much damage, but has all this global presence and CC to add on top of it, makes him a really formidable pick.
Well, if a pick like TF does require some damage in some of the other roles within the team, then Wild Turtle, when playing from the perspective of the other roles, does it require anything else from the players, you feel like, when you're working around a TF in the mid lane? Or is it just an additional global pressure that you can use to expand your strategies?
Well, I think you definitely have to respect TF when he hits level 6, just because he always has a chance of coming to your lane. And I think that definitely makes you play a little bit more differently. But he also adds a lot to the team. I think playing with TF is pretty easy, considering if you just get him level 6 and use your jungle and mid to help him get level 6, he can really help your side lanes after that. So overall, I think he's just a really good win condition and stops the other team from making too many aggressive plays.
And I'm not sure if he's going to be a win condition here in our upcoming match. I'm actually going to leave that to our analysts in deciding exactly what those should be for each of these teams. 100 Thieves and Golden Guardians. So Mark, why don't you tell us what 100 Thieves need to do to come out of this match 2-5 instead of 1-6?
I'm going to give you a little bit of a punt. I have no idea. This is the first time we're seeing this lineup ever play together. So I don't actually know what the win conditions are exactly supposed to be. I did send in question marks, and I said contracts, enable him. He's mostly played Nidalee and Graves, and he has 2 Trundle games through Academy so far. But they've also been playing Ryoma on mostly hyperscaling mages like Azir and Orianna and the kind of control mages. So I'm wondering if they're going to try to lean more into his style, or they're going to try and move contracts more to Ryoma's style. I actually have no idea. I hope it is one of the 2 that they choose to index in more. So, something a little bit more control-oriented like the Trundle if you want to keep Ryoma on his champ pool.
All right. Prolly, what you got for Golden Guardians? Do you got question marks first, or something a little more solid?
I have no question marks, because I'm going to go ahead and say that, I'm going to go against Ryoma and contracts. They have to have poor synergy. They've only been, practicing for about a week. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is going to be the weakest target. And Closer and Demonte are such big playmakers for GGS that I think this is probably the best way to get an advantage and hold it. If Contracts and Ryoma lose mid jungle control, it's probably going to be hard for them to regain it because there's a lot of coordination needed. They won't know each other's language yet. And then I think that's going to tilt the game in GGS's favor. And I mean, if Mark can't even come up with some win conditions for 100 Thieves, I mean,
they got a week of scrims. I don't know what they've been doing in scrims. Do what you've been doing in scrims. Don't ask me.
Yeah, throw something at the wall. Come on.
One side definitely seems a bit more confident than the other, but Wild Turtle, coming to you. Who do you think is going to win this, and what's it ultimately going to come down to in this match?
I think Golden Guardians is going to win this just because 100 Thieves has 2 new members, and they need a little bit more time to just figure it out. But also, I do feel like 100 Thieves has a chance of winning if they just know, if they have a good game plan. I think they can come out swinging. I think maybe Golden Guardians will play the same TF win condition, and if they're doing that, probably give the game to them.
Well, only one way to find out. Everyone in the audience, don't you worry, Wild Turtle is sticking with us to break down game number 1. But in the meantime, let's head to Golden Guardians versus 100 Thieves. We've got freaking Kobe with the cast.
Welcome, everyone, to the LCS 2020 Summer Split. I am Freak. Kobe, are you ready?
Oh my! You said you weren't gonna do this anymore.
I never said that.
We did it correctly. We did it correctly already.
Yes,
I am Kobe. Welcome to the LCS, and I am extremely hyped about the roster changes that have been going on.
Yeah.
Because I reached out to 100 Thieves, their players, their coaches, their staff to get a little bit more insight into Poom and contracts. Even though everybody still knows contracts from going to Worlds with Cloud9 and his time on Golden Guardians, but Poom has only been playing League of Legends at all as a game for 2 years, which to me was one of the craziest parts of it. Like, how quickly can you pick up a game in 2 years, make it through Academy, make it all the way to the LCS and be on the LCS stage? And reaching out to Kelsey specifically on some of the things I expect from him, because I got so hyped about him being young NA talent, she was like, all right, calm down a little bit. One of the main things they brought him in for was communication and trying to balance. You know, Contracts is a very aggressive jungler. Everybody knows his play style. And she said Poom is much more level-headed. And they work specifically on some vision issues as far as when you can actually place vision, timing for collapses, defending the vision, and these sorts of things. So we'll see how those actually play out on the field. I'm also especially excited for Contracts versus the team that benched and traded him away, Golden Guardians, being his first game back in the LCS.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it fun, makes it exciting. I'm excited for the 100 Thieves lineup as well. I do want to see them improve. It felt like the worst performing members on that team were jungle support. It was the one statement that Papa Smithy didn't make in his statement was why these 2 players. But if you watch the games, it was, of course, those 2 players. They were basically leading the league in deaths, subbed them out, put in some well-performing academy players underneath, and I think this will make 100 Thieves look better.
Interesting stat for you, Freak.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed, you're correct. Stunt and Meteos were number 1 and number 2 in the league in deaths. Guess who was number 3?
Gate, last I looked.
Ryoma.
Okay. It's moved around a bit. I know Ryoma's up there. Yeah, I know Ryoma's leading his team in kill participation, so he's at least been in the fights. He's dying, but also at least helping get kills and assists. So he's just very active. Ryoma has a high action score, kills plus deaths plus assists. That's an underrated stat. It's an underrated stat.
I definitely like action score for sure. And people, speaking of Ryoma, were actually pretty high on him after the TSM game, specifically his Azir play. You know, he became a really big force after getting just a couple kills. Once he got the 3 items, Deathcap came in and started to be a big player. And I know that Papa Smithy talked a lot about investment in the future, and he even called into Hotline League talking about how good Ryoma's been in scrims and in the solo queue ladder, and everyone's listening, with wide eyes, like, okay, we're going to see this build up here.
Yeah, we're going to see it happen. We're going to maybe see it happen right now. Of course, Golden Guardians come off a pretty solid win themselves, taking down FlyQuest last week. So we'll see just how strong these teams can be as we get ourselves into Champion Select. Poom has played unique champions every single game in Academy so far. I'm always a fan of seeing Nidalee. We'll see if this one gets picked up here for Contracts. We've played that one 2 times as well. Of course, we are on patch 10.13. That means we had some Kalista nerfs, some Aphelios nerfs. Maybe you see those come off the table a little bit more often. Kog'Maw buffs, I think more likely as an AP mid laner than as a bot laner, and lo and behold, Contract's not going to get that mid lane.
Yeah, looks like they're going to respect their old jungler a little bit there with the Nidalee ban. There's your Aphelios Freak, though.
Yeah.
Still comes in pretty hot. The Ashe, let's talk about this for a second because this has been a worldwide trend. Ashe has had a really strong resurgence, especially in LPL, especially in LCK, because she is so good into Aphelios, and they expected that first pick. A large part of it is due to the extra range, but the crowd control. Aphelios is one of the easier marksmen to hit with your arrows, especially if you get out of Fog of War. So I really have enjoyed this pick when seeing it in LPL and LCK as one of the main counters.
Yeah, I think it's really, really strong. Aphelios has literally 0 ways to move faster in his entire kit. He is a very slow-moving attack platform, kind of like a Kog'Maw, which is
and
also a
Ashe will even make him move slower.
yeah, it works out pretty well. Ashe has a lot of build variety out there. You can do Ruin King Hurricane, you can do more crit focus to see which way she ends up going. Closer going to go ahead and grab an early aggressive jungler here as well as Graves gets locked in. There were some very small Trundle nerfs a little while back, and now Volibear going to come in on the opposite side, and we're seeing more and more Volibear jungle.
Yeah, that can definitely still be a flex pick, either someday or Contracts. I have talked to Contracts, and I know that he specifically likes playing Volibear a lot in the jungle, so we'll see if that is the actual matchup. Graves is one of the champions that has a decent amount of answers. You can smoke bomb Volibear's engages a lot when he's charging, and if you save your E dash for the Volibear E, then you don't get hit by the slow. Makes it a lot easier to kite him, and you can proc your phase rush. So I think it is a good early pick on the side of Golden Guardians there. And then they pick up the Tahm Kench, both as a denial. Whenever you have Ashe, it really helps to take away Tahm Kench to save people that get hit with the arrows, but also, can save Ashe for your team as well.
Yeah, of course, with Thresh locked in, it's not necessarily a denial, but it does make a lot of sense as Ashe, once again, like Aphelios, does not have ways. Let's bring back the
top lane one.
Yeah, who knows? Top Kench, top Thresh, who knows what's going to go on for that one. Azir going to get dropped off the ban table. That makes a lot of sense. Ryoma has put in a ton of games in that one, and a lot of them have been successful. Even if they're not winning, he still played it 4 times, and he won't get it number 5 here. And yes, but as we mentioned, Ashe, as you mentioned, really not the best at getting away from things. Thresh hooks can be real deadly, and if you just Tahm Kench pull that one out there, you're completely fine. As the bans keep coming through, Trundle going to be another jungle ban aimed away at Contracts, and that means the top 3 are all gone. Graves, Trundle, and Nidalee really all he's played, and means a new champ going to come through for Contracts today.
Yep, definitely excited here. Very well could, again, still be the Volibear, and they're going to have to reveal if it is top lane or bottom lane first. So I expect Golden Guardians' first pick on the second round of picks to be one of their other solo laners. I would expect mid lane, actually, because it's easier. You can pick like the Zoe right now. Demonte has played a lot of these global champions, though.
Yeah.
And they mentioned Twisted Fate on the analyst desk, that one being banned. Guess what? Galio's got almost as actually further reaching at level 2 there with the ultimate for globals.
Yeah, and this is going to be interesting because I do want to see who's going in, though. None of these champions want to be the first into the fight, and that means that there's not a good Galio dive target. Unless Graves is going top lane, we're not going to see Nocturne for closer. Cassiopeia is going to be the mid lane answer to Galio. He's going to stack MR, but we're probably still going to see some lane pressure out of Ryoma overall. I am curious what kind of engage we see out of Hanser here on the top side. We need his pick. He's going to have counter pick here. 100 Thieves get to decide where the Volibear goes, which matchup they want to go for. Nunu did get some buffs in 10-13 or 10-12, I think.
They're AP focused, actually, though.
Yeah.
So we started seeing AP Nunu, actually, pop up, especially in high yellow Korean solo queue. There's a couple of Dark Harvest mid lane Nunus, but
yeah.
For the jungle, it remained pretty much the same. Renekton is locked in. There you go. We get the Contracts Volibear.
All right, now Golden Guardians, I don't feel like they have a good 1-3-1 kind of split push comp, right? This is not a Jace TF comp. Galio, yes, he can global into the team, but he's not the one doing turret pressure, so I think they need a team fighter here for Hans for the top side. Kennen could well be that, and that combo's going to line up. He's got AoE crowd control, wants to reach the back line, and the Galio can dive right over the top. This is a lot of engage, very strong team fighting, and several members here on Golden Guardians can force the issue. I like this look. It's a fun-looking composition.
Yeah, I mean, people can still remember Hanser's Kennen at Worlds with TSM. He's going to have to get in there with the flash a lot of times as well, too. As you're mentioning, him being basically the go-to point man for engaging for Golden Guardians and making this whole team comp come together in the last pick is going to put a lot of pressure on him, but also a lot of importance on his flash cooldown. I think Hanser's flash cooldown will be the single most important summoner spell cooldown in this entire game moving forward for both teams to keep track of.
Yeah, going to be a really, really big deal. Again, looking at the Golden Guardians composition, they've got frontline, they've got a mix of damage types. I think their lanes look pretty solid. We know, again, Galio, yeah, he's not going to have pressure against Cassiopeia, most certainly, but he can at least stack a Magic Resist pretty cleanly and feel okay about that one. You know, get the Adaptive Helm or an Abyssal Mask early on and kind of withstand that lane, and then just get out somewhere else and feel pretty comfortable. I've been liking FBI and Huhi quite a lot overall. Not sure they're going to have a ton of pressure. Ash Poke is only going to be so good, but they can at least survive ganks on that side. So I like what that look is. I like that composition. On the 100 Thieves side, though, we do have another game of Someday on something that can take over the game. His third Renekton game, right? They've gotten him off Ornn duty since week 1, and it's saying, hey, let's give you some more pressure. And if they can have some top pressure come out of the jungle, if they can get contracts up there for some ganks, Someday can 1v9 games like usual.
And it's really interesting, too, because Golden Guardians were hovering the super hard lane counter of Quinn into Renekton. And that, you know, you use the dash, you try and interrupt. And they went with the Kennen. It can be a much harder lane counter if you go attack speed on hit Kennen and you go AD Kennen. But it's so much more important to the team overall that he go AP for their 5v5 that I'm very curious to see how important they value shutting down Someday specifically. His build path is going to give you a lot of insight into Golden Guardians thinking behind this Kennen pick. And since they didn't go with the Quinn, it makes me think that they're going to try and just get by with the earlier levels of you start with the Doran's Blade, and then you can build into Proto Belt and you can build into Zhonya's and these AP items for the Kennen to have it be impactful for the team fights later. But you still get the edge of I'm ranged matchup, I have the stuns that can come out from my Ws, and you get your extra harassment of the Doran's Blade.
All right, so here we go. Might see a late invade. That Trinket Ward well placed to spot it. It's kind of nice. It tracks most movements out there, and indeed, they're going to try. Sweeper was in range. Gold gets handed off to FBI, shared alongside Closer, and they're going to look for that late invade on the bottom side, which, hey, by the way, already sniffed out by 100 Thieves. They've already sent contracts to the top side, and this is going to be difficult for Hanser. He's already been stunned up once. Someday, going to go for the dash, and Hanser doesn't want to lose 300 health coming in a lane. He's going to flash early instead.
Yeah, smart there from Contracts. He does not level an ability early. When they see Hanser on the invade, he levels his Q, goes for the stun, gets a summoner spell immediately, and that is going to reduce so much of the counter for the lane pick. Early on, Kennen wants to try and harass Renekton, obviously, by his Doran start. You get your autos off, you drop into the brush to drop minion aggro, but that is going to be so much more difficult now that they have split the map, and he has no flash.
It's going to be a trade of red buff on the side of the map, but of course Graves, a faster clearing jungler, knocks on the chickens, gets back to his jungle the same time that Contracts does. Almost got a mid lane gank. Nice play that was damage on the Huhi, and really level 2 doesn't increase the damage of Tom Kench very much, so that's not going to mean too much here. Easy pickup with the blue for Closer once he's done autoing a couple more times, and Red will burn that one down, and he can go on for the next couple of camps right there. So yeah, we'll keep that roughly 1 camp lead for the Golden Guardians jungler. We'll wait to see what comes through later on as they scale up and get more items and look for those big plays.
Yeah, you mentioned the faster clearing. That's just an issue that's exacerbated by the fact that he had to level Q to burn the flash of Kennen. If you're not starting W, your first camp's going to be a lot slower there. Took him a while to do the red. He's seen on the Tri-Brush ward. Closer's already here with double buff, so this is really dangerous. The Contracts might have flash.
Doesn't know they know it's going to be some decent damage, and yeah, that would have almost been a stun on Kennen. One more strike would have done it as soon as the autos come through. Now, Monte has to be respectful. Gets a bit of poke on Royoma. Came up to help make sure if there was a fight happening. There wasn't. Ultimately is okay here. Royoma will get most of the farm. There's the easy Twin Fang. There's the second one. And those are all his minions.
And one of the big things I like about that counter pick in mid lane, the Cassiopeia into the Galio, is that not only do you have really good scaling DPS options for later for the Cassiopeia, because she has a really easy farm lane early on versus the Galio, especially if it doesn't get ganked. But Miasma is so good against Galio now that he can't do, comp flashes and stuff like that. If you shut down the Justice Punch, the only mobility from Galio comes from the Summoner Spellbook usage with all the extra speed that you get off Nimbus Cloak and cycling those Summoner spells. So those are really only like surprise cards that you now have to worry about. And Cassiopeia has a lot of answers with ult and Miasma.
Fights aren't too heavy up in the top-hand side. Haunter's slightly down in CS, but a lot of that is the wave is pushing into him. Contracts, though, wants a dive, and this time around, they've got the squad around. Haunter's suddenly going to be in a lot of danger. Can TP come in? Yep, they've got a Galio coming around, and that's going to be able to call off the dive, but that is still a TP burned, and it's the mid laner forced out of lane, and as long as they can get some wards down, that gank won't happen again, but it is still a nice attempted gank for Contract.
He's investing a lot of time into this someday win condition. And that's what you talked about. Fans have been crying for 400 Thieves.
Yeah.
Like, get someday on a carry champion, get him some resources. And they're like, okay, here you go. You got Renekton, one of the biggest lane bullies, and they're sending contracts up there 24/7, repeat ganks. This does mean, especially since you're playing versus Graves, the Graves should always take those opportunities to go counter jungle you. Closer has done exactly that and has earned himself a level lead up several camps now. And you have to start to worry about control of dragons and possible dragon stacking for Golden Guardians if you invest that much onto the top side of the map.
Nice hit there by Someday. Knocks about a half of Haunter's health far. As you mentioned, both junglers recall. Closer is up a longsword in gold right now. They recalled almost the exact same time, and even that's not really true because he has longsword and the Volibear has boots. Otherwise, the items are pretty close together. You did mention the level lead, though. That one is holding true. Hawkshot's going to try to reveal what else might be happening. Is anyone lane ganking? No, but it did spot Volibear up on Krug, so good aim there by FBI. Make sure he knows what's going on. Yes, jungler bot side. If you want to steal wolves, that's yours if you want it.
And I'm always, again, it just drives me so much more into the match when you have these situations like Contract's finally getting his resurgence into the LCS, and his first game is against the Golden Guardians, which he spent 2 years with and got benched and got traded away. You know that there's definitely extra incentive for him to really do well, to prove himself versus this team and versus their new jungler Closer. So his focus on topside, I don't expect that to change. I expect him to continue try and focus on Someday's lane, and that would mean, and that would also entail getting the Rift Trailed in 1.5 minutes, because Closer already for Golden Guardians with his big level lead, and Graves should easily be able to take the dragon, and does so.
Gets that one, no problem. You saw him earlier go for the Scryer's Boom, make sure there's no wards in the pit. There weren't, and he's able to take it down. Neither bot lane has recalled yet. We expect that to come down pretty soon. You want to get your items on the board as kind of fast as you can, and you can easily get a BF Sword recall for Aphelios here for Cody-san. You can get Cutlass plus boots for the Ashe, no problem. And we'll see what comes through as Closer wants to again keep the invade going. Has the level lead, but Poom is going to move first, and that means his invade will not matter. And as the red goes down, Contracts gets a bit closer in the farm game. A bit closer in XP. Still not 6 though. Has to still lick those wounds.
Yep, and again, that's for the repeat ganks up onto the top side, which, look at the CS. Hunter's got his flash back, and his CS is still ahead of Someday. Ooh, it looks like he got a little bit of minion block there. Couldn't get in range for the Q to quite touch that one, but Hunter's dealing with the pressure thus far completely fine.
You can see the gold's actually still fairly close between the two, despite the CS lead. The minions, the ones that are killed, plus specifically the plate knockdown in topside, is making that different from what the CSD shows you. Lane pressure has been Someday's way. Now Closer gonna be on the ward. Contracts is here, 1v1. Again, not level 6 for the Volibear, but still gonna push Closer backwards. Misses the Q, might have to jump over the wall. And he's gonna wait around for that cooldown. And there we go. He ults just to be sure. Was afraid of someone collapsing on him. Says, in case Cassiopeia lands Miasma, I am dead. So burn the cooldown, no big deal.
And the most critical part of that interaction, because both sides felt like they were baiting, the extra ward there for 100 Thieves gave them the confidence that with Poom already rotating from bottom side and leaving Cody-san by himself, actually. Let's see if he gets out of this one.
Ooh, he's going to land the slow, exhaust for more. Cody-san's going to kite it back, finally burns the cleanse to walk away, but that is still a nice ult for Huhi. burns off the cleanse, makes him deny some farm. This XP and gold is not being gained, and the plate is grabbed easily by FBI. I do love Boots 2 first for Ashe a lot, by the way. Just making sure you're in range of the slow chain. You can run someone down forever, as well as kiting the Renekton. Pretty valuable.
Yep, definitely agree there. But again, the critical part there was that Poom was roaming, and he being next to Damonte and holding his death sentence meant that Galio ult could not come through to turn the jungle. That's what you're counting on with Damonte and Closer. Big part of their game plan, they've done this multiple times, is Damonte being able to join in on Closer's invades, and that's what they were looking for there. But since Poom had roamed and he was threatening crowd control on the Galio, it meant that Closer had to back out and cede territory. Again, it costed them bottom lane pressure though. Cody Sun only had to use his cleanse, so not too big of a toll as far as the summer spells.
Checking on mid lane real quick, 14 CS lead for Ryoma. Again, somewhat expected here with counterpick coming through, but the overall game state is a 1 to 200 gold lead for Golden Guardians, as once again Hanser and Someday do battle, and despite the fact that Volibear has shown up a few times, of course he's gotten his own help, like Damonte's TP being one of those examples, and they've still been holding on pretty close to equal. Small farm lead versus plate means those two are close together. There's the mid lane push, and nice roam again by Poom to hold it, and make sure Ryoma can get all the gold and XP, flays it for some more ease, and yeah, no problem. Contracts, however, is my farm.
Yeah, definitely need to pass through mid lane, get a little bit of a soakage experience on the way to the bottom camps. Help catch up a little bit, because the main thing that's been holding up Golden Guardians here is their good defense. And if you have good defense and you're able to take advantage of the opportunities for Graves to grind out these farm leads during your good defense, that costs you Damonte's teleport, as well as the roams, as well as Hanser playing defensively when his flash was down. All those things have been checked, and now Golden Guardians, since they've gotten to the breakpoint, Graves on warrior completion is a huge power spike over a Volibear with just pieces here. If Closer can find that fight and force the fight by invading, and then have Damonte not in range of someone with crowd control to be able to follow with the Galio ultimate, that's what they're looking for. FBI does have the Ashe Arrow, so he could start it out. That's why Closer is hovering around.
Nice little bit of damage there on the FBI, but he's still pretty comfortable. Has the Vamp Scepter, so going to get minions. He's going to be fine. Gets away from turret aggro, gets some decent poke. 2 more autos will knock that one down. They can use time catch if they need to, and ultimately not going to go for the hook. Not going to really find a play down there. Still cleanseless on the Aphelios for just under a minute left. Means if there is a good play to be had, they can maybe force him down. Still has flash though and everything else. You can see the gold difference. The bot lane 600. FBI and Huhi very far ahead down here. They've been one of the bright points, I would say, for Golden Guardians. Honestly, a team that I'm just kind of surprised is 2-4, because I feel like all their players are playing well, and they just, well, just barely come away with losses in a lot of these games. 100 Thieves right now, you can see an 800 gold deficit. Golden Guardians taking care of business in the early game, which is default for them. Golden Guardians' early game is the second best in the league, all things considered, but that's just turned into only 2 wins, as their mid game is usually falling apart. And we're getting to that point now.
Yeah, and we might get to the point we were talking about where it all explodes.
Yeah, they're going to try it right now. Huhi's in the front line, goes into half HP, flashes backwards, but here is the Volibear in front. Galio shows up as well. The stun over the wall, and that's going to be a kill for Ryoma. Nowhere else to go. Those going to be shut down. 2 for 1 so far in this fight, and Golden Guardians are on the chase. Hanser is here. The ulti's going to find his first stun. 1 more auto might do it. Cody Sun's going to drop, as will his support. A 4-1 team fight. Hanser shows up, and something didn't have TP. He's only got turret plates.
We need to take a picture of 2 minutes ago when we were talking about Closer on these invade junglers with Damonte, a Galio ultimate coming down. That's what the Golden Guardians are looking for. Moments before everything goes tragically wrong for 100 Thieves. Yeah. As not only is it a Galio ultimate, but an extra teleport. Some days, I was looking at it, was just barely still on cooldown from the last time that he used it to get back to the top side. And Hanser, in those last few seconds of difference of top lane teleports, he gets down there for 2 more kills using his flash for Golden Guardians to be able to stack up that second dragon. As mentioned previously, though, Contracts turned to the Rift Trail. We'll be able to pick this up in time to use it for turret plates, which is a pretty good consolation prize, honestly, even though 100 Thieves just got completely blasted on the bottom half of the map. This is a very good chunk of gold that you can also semi-funnel into one of your very strong scaling carries of Velios and Cassiopeia, which are 2 of the best late game champions that we have, in all of League of Legends.
Yeah, gonna be scary. Watch this fight again, though. Closer wants in. They see Contracts. Like, yep, this is the play. Last pan in. Come join me.
They've been itching to use the Graves aggression plus Galio ultimate this whole game, and here's their chance. So they start the fight. Contracts goes in to try and finish the kill on Booty because Ryoma's right there. With the Galio ultimate shield, that's an extra magic damage shield, and it stalls Ryoma's damage long enough that Ryoma has to commit right into his face to be able to get that kill. And since Contract was already down, and Hunter's teleport advantage over Someday, as previously mentioned, allows Golden Guardians to have 5 members there to just clean up all these extra kills.
Look at that, Golden Guardians 2,000 gold lead at the pretty early stage of the game, 14 minutes in. Usually we mark these at 15, and BK would be a very nice one for them, a bit above their average, but again, normally very good early games. 2 Drakes picked up, Ocean Soul going to be the option here if they can get 2 more. That's always nice. It's very, very strong, and honestly, this is looking pretty good for Golden Guardians so far. The lanes have been moved around. It's now with the AD carries going to the top side, or the top end is going to the bottom side of the map. There's no Drake to go for a while, but you can always go for second Herald before too terribly long.
Yeah, just saw on your mini-map on the bottom side too, Contracts was going for a lane gank to lane gank behind Someday. Ryoma's getting 3 people though. He should be able to back off. But as you can see on the mini-map, there was a control ward there, which again, saves Hanser some of this harassment. And you gotta really tip your hat to Hanser in this game. He's played it extremely well, and this is going to be one of the big differences. As expected, he's going with the AP Kennen build after the Doran start. Well, then we get our action now.
Proto Boat forward, lands the taunt, even despite the flash burst damage. He needs the ult, it's gonna land. Flash away from Contracts, but will there be follow through? A flash in for Someday. They've got to have the damage, but wait, Galio and Tom Kench are here. They don't have it at all. Hanser on the way up as well. A second knockup on a Someday. He's flashless, he's ultless, he's gonna run out of health, and he's gonna go down. Now Puma and Contracts are on the way out. A lantern brings one to safety. A turret goes down to the top side. That's gonna be some extra gold, but I'll take the team fight. I'll take the mid lane turret as well.
Yep, thumbs up there from Demonte as the Golden Guardians will reap the rewards. Oh my goodness, he's calling it 2. Game over. They opened up the mid tower after another successful collapse for them. Ryoma just got comboed so well. Demonte right up into his face, chains him so that Closer can get there. Red Smite Burn as well, going to do the job. So Closer was able to back off, and you could tell how desperate 100 Thieves were to try and get the counter kill here. Here's another look at it. Again, Ryoma, he does have to worry about Justice Punch into Proto Belt, dodges the ultimate. Oh my goodness, Devontae. That Proto Belt right to the side of the cone. Very clean. Then again, Closer with the escape is able to get the Galio ultimate into the Tom Kench Devour. They just shoot him right out the backside of that little team fight there. And then 100 Thieves are completely surrounded because Golden Guardians collapse first. Again, they get a consolation prize, a little bit of gold on the backside as Aphelios was able to take down top turret, so Cody-san did get a bit more money, but Golden Guardians with back-to-back team fight victories does look like they can continue with their dragon stacking win condition.
Yeah, next one spawns in 50 seconds, looking pretty convenient for them. I will say the gold lead did not stretch by as much as I would have thought based on how that team fight went. Solo first turret gold up to the Aphelios, obviously very impactful. Cody-san scaling up nicely. The gold lead was 2K. It's only become 2,500. Not that stark of a difference from before, but obviously we are seeing that Golden Guardians are the far better team fighters, far better at collapsing and supporting their team right now. We'll see if that can turn around with 100 Thieves. They're looking to claw their way up. Their goals were to make Worlds, and that means you end Summer Split in top 3. Right now they're bottom 2, and they've got to make their way up from there, but so far against Golden Guardians it is not happening. See if they can keep growing, but this is not the making of a win just yet. They collapse to the mid lane. Drake's up to 10.
People look back to the beginning of this game and how we got here. A lot of what isn't working, like you're talking about, is the early game plan of Renekton and Volibear, which on paper sounds great. It can be super impressive. Try and have repeat ganks on top side. They burned the Kennen Splash level 1 even on the invade. You know, as Golden Guardians are going to see stack Dragon, there's nothing that we can do about it, but that has probably been the major failing thus far in the first game for the new roster for 100 Thieves, was that focus, because it didn't even amount to a CS lead or gold lead for Someday individually, or you know, control really of that area of the map, because Golden Guardians have so many defensive answered Demonte's teleport, roaming up closer there for defending against the dive, and Haunter himself waiting out the flash cooldown. Just, you know, so much patience, I would say, with this roster for Golden Guardians.
Yeah, looking pretty good so far. We're going to see Ocean Soul in 4.5 minutes, most likely, as Haunter and Someday are in a battle. Someday really wants in, going to tank the first one, the second one no problem as well, and now this fight's going to look pretty nice. Next time he's going to pick stun, it could be a kill on the Haunter. He's going to Protobelt away, he's going to burn his Zonias, but no one is around to help, and there's the shutdown coming through. Someday with an easy solo kill on the top side.
Someday is like, you talking about me, sir? I'm going to have to kill somebody then. And Haunter's right in front of him. They take down the prize. 100 Thieves looking for another pick mid.
FBI almost in danger. He's going to get shot a little bit, but he's got life steal. It's not going to be a big problem for him. And yeah, going to knock down these minions without much issue at all. But that is a nice one, right? That is the makings of coming back into the game. The gold difference, again, only 2,000 here. Sidestep on the hook. That could have been a kill on a Huhi. He didn't have a good way out, but here comes the stun. You're going to land on a Poom. Burns the stopwatch now on a Cody. Sunny's forced to flash away. Here comes Galio. Can't find a knock. The rest of the team is running away, but they're still trying to find round 2. Good play backward, but he will go down. A kill picked up in Retribution into the mid lane.
Yeah, big move again. Golden Guardians making good use of that Galio ultimate, chase them off. They get down Poom. They lost the side lane as Someday was able to take the tower after getting his kill on the Haunter, but because they strike back mid, it's an answer in a secondary turret. Wide open lane here in the mid lane as Golden Guardians make a pretty deep push.
Well, again, 2,500 the gold lead. Turret score 3-2. Kill score 7-2. There's some farm and a few members, but otherwise it's been a tough road here for 100 Thieves. We'll see if somebody can keep winning in the side lane. Again, it is worth pointing out that Golden Guardians very much are a team fight focused composition, and if 100 Thieves can split them up, if someday can be the really, really big 1v1 champion that forces Golden Guardians to play differently, that can be a way into the game.
Might be able to open up some options for them. It's going to be difficult with 2 minutes 30 seconds on the Ocean Soul arriving, which is a really easy point for Golden Guardians to force at because it's such an easy objective to take and has such big rewards. That's this is probably the main difficulty, main problem posed to 100 Thieves, and I think you're right. They're going to have to get very creative in their solution to this problem because Golden Guardians will have their Demonte ultimate right back up. So you get your layers of your AoE, flash on Haunter, which in Champ Selects, we were talking about being the single most important summoner spell, is available for Golden Guardians. So honestly, they are just itching for this Soul Dragon to arrive so they can make use of those AoE tools. Boom, looking to cut them off a little bit before that dragon does arrive.
Yeah, the hook's not going to mean too much though. Going to walk away from that one. It actually is going to mean his Aftershock's on cooldown, but it shouldn't matter. It's way shorter cooldown than this dragon spawn, so shouldn't be an issue for him, but worth thinking about potentially at some point in time. Gold lead still 2,500. It has flattened somewhat, and this is, again, not necessarily a problem. As we've talked about several times, Golden Guardians are stacking up Drakes, but they are not accruing gold leads. You compare to teams like, say, Cloud9 with a lead this good, this early, they probably would have killed 3 more turrets and 7 more champions. Like, just the amount of pressure they put on, the amount of times they look for a fight. Golden Guardians playing a bit more reserved style, and they say, hey, look, if we get the Ocean Soul 1 minute from now, that's enough, no risks until then, and that might serve them pretty well, but we'll see if they can make this one work. They have failed to close out games before, and this always seems something in the back of my mind until this game actually drops out. They have let games slip before, even with Ocean Soul.
I would also credit some 100 Thieves kind of stemming the bleeding as they've done a decent job of not letting it grow as well. With top tower going down though, teleports are available, and we are only 35 seconds away from the all-important Soul Drake. 100 Thieves currently do have full vision control over it, which is a great setup. And I like that you keep on bringing up kind of the hovering gold values for 100 Thieves, because again, they do have some very strong scaling carries for themselves.
Yes.
Might be a little difficult, and we'll have to see how they can get the CC down to set those carries up, though, and avoid all of the AoE that comes from this Golden Guardians team fight.
Good early damage, but Huhi had Honey Fruit next to him, so he's going to gain most of that health back up. Drake has spawned, Haunter gets vision. This is the 5v5 that determines almost everything. 2 major items done on the primary carries of 100 Thieves. Ramba and Cody Sun are ready to brawl. Contracts in the front line. Level 11 on the Volibear has momentarily closed the level lead to only 1. And Golden Guardians say, okay, we're going to come around on the right-hand side. Hanser, though, going to be found in the brush. Big stuns on him. He's got to be respectful here. He's going to go for the ulti. He finds the stun, but Ryoma's going to stay alive. Galio up in front. Someday gets away. He's going to stay alive. Backline X for Contracts. 1 for 0, though, as his port drops down. Damonte on the board. Ryoma going to drop as well. 2 for 0. And now he's going to try to find a slow and a Contract. And that might just be enough. They've got a lot of champions dead, and Contract's flash list is likely to be the third. How do you get away from this one? The taunt's going to land. The slows are there. A 3 for 0, and 100 Thieves are routed. Ocean Soul is going to go to Golden Guardians.
Quick, pretend to be a jungle creep or something. He's a bear in the jungle. Don't kill me. Golden Guardians are not having any of it, though. Not only did they get their perfect setup for this Drake, I mean, Hanser got right into this side brush. Perfect flank for him. He didn't even have to flash in, even though Damonte wasn't quite in range for an instant Galio ultimate. With the Zonias, Hanser's able to survive just plenty long for Golden Guardians. So that means Ocean Soul and Baron and Freak, that is about as much value as you can get within a single minute span as is possible in League of Legends. So Golden Guardians, they make the critical team fight victory there with a really nice slip into the brush there from Hanser, and able to collapse there, layering those AoE CCs. 100 Thieves now, they got to work overtime in and trying to find some gold and play defense for a good, probably 10+ minutes.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. They shrink the gold lead to 6K as the middle turret falls, and some more gold going into Cody Sun's pockets. But until he can free fire in a team fight, he didn't die in the last one, but couldn't find any kills either. He can't really open up. It's not going to mean a whole lot. Wave clear in the mid lane, no big problem, but there's a couple minutes left that might get shepherded into the inhibitor. We'll see as they move forward. We got Galio heading top side. Kennan's over in the bottom lane. He's going to be able to TP back in if he needs to. Spellbook's over to an Ignite, so he can burn that one if that's going to find himself an opportunity.
These are the moments in the game, Freak, where I call for my patented Goon Squad strategy. And the Goon Squad strategy is when you are this far behind, as 100 Thieves, you got to group up as a 5-man Goon Squad and just rush down somebody and try and pick off a kill. Because if the enemy team even has close to even numbers in a fight, then you lose. So you're going to have to group up and look for some multi-person action. Hanser might be the target. Let's see if they can get it here.
Well, the difficulty, they go for Hanser. They're going to lose the entire inhibitor side. They're going to go for it here. Hanser's E is on cooldown. Contract's here for the 2v1. Ulti's going to get popped. This is going to be a lot of danger for poor Kennen. Doesn't have a ton of move speed. He's going to try. Protobolt's around for some damage. He is going to go down, but that means the dive happens to the top side. They're pushing for the turret right away. They're going to go for the inhibitor itself as well as closer shepherds in mid. Ryoma chunked down to half HP, but the recall's going to come through soon. In about 3 seconds, reinforcements will have arrived. Does that give enough time for Golden Guardians? Both turrets are gone, but now Contracts is here with home guards. This is maybe the play. Boom! Flashes in for the double play. FBI going to be the set here as well. This is going to be a lot of damage. However, he is taunted. He is forced put away. The shutdown does come through. A 1 for 0, and this is going to be the second one as well. He does not have the way out. The hook is going to land, and that is the small moment that they needed. Someday, even there to stop to dash away for Damonte, means he can dash in, find his own stun. Clen comes out. Damonte's going to keep running. Mobies? Swifty's not going to be enough there, and Poom will not get a third kill. Those turrets were traded for 2 champion kills, plus 1 hot for the bot lane.
Out of a doomsday situation, Freak, they're able to do it. The patented technology. You just group up, you try and get an unfair fight. They picked off Hanser, and they opened up this tiny, tiny crack of an opportunity. 100 Thieves taking what is not given to them, surely, in this game, as they're able to win the team fight off of a Ocean Soul Baroned up Golden Guardian squad that has a tremendous synergy built up between all the champions. They take down the Kennen. That's a critical piece of it, and they're able to stall this one out. All that being said, all that celebration for 100 Thieves, the road is going to be long, and it's going to be a very arduous journey to come back and to feed your Cassiopeia, to feed your Aphelios, a lot of extra gold. But they have taken the first step, and that was repelling the Golden Guardians' Baron push.
Alrighty, so gold lead shrinks to only 5,000. It was 6K. They brought it a little bit back, so we'll see if I can keep going. Death's Dance is on the way for Cody Sun. It'll make him nigh immortal when that does come through, so we'll see if that free firing can work out well for the guy. QS has picked up for FBI, none yet for Huhi, so we can still be the target. I know we often see Quick Silver Sash come through for Tom Kenches because they can save someone else, but ironically they can't save themselves. I've heard that quote before. We'll see it again maybe in this game, but regardless, the wave's still getting pushed in. Closer's the one to get the gold right now. FBI comes down, and level 14 Ash definitely going to do plenty of damage here.
Yeah, we need to see relentless pressure from the Golden Guardians right now. They still have the Ocean Soul. Contracts does get the smite for the slow, but they're unable to chase down Closer. It is a phase rush Graves, so it's going to be very slippery. Golden Guardians, though, again, yeah, returning to the extra pressure here. 1 minute on this Elder Dragon spawn. Your top objective, if you could get this top inhibitor down before the Elder Dragon spawn, that makes it so much easier, for you to have this push and pull pincer movement. 100 Thieves are trying to take advantage of this, 55 seconds that they have left before that objective does spawn.
This may be the moment they're going to find some damage. The Closer on a half HP there. The hook in the front line there as well means damage in a Huhi, but Contract's forced back out, and Hanser had a very deep ward to teleport to it. It forces the rest of the Thieves to walk backwards. They could not let their backline be on top of the cannon. A fight there between Devontae and Someday doesn't end in too much, but it means both inhibitors are down, and even without Baron buff, they've still got the Ocean Soul. They can siege this as long as they want and believe their opponents out of resources. Elder Dragon in 25 seconds. Golden Guardians don't have a way for the bot lane. It's Nexus or nothing. And right now, looks like Golden Guardians not going to get nerfed out of this one. They're going to walk their way towards that bottom river soon.
Yeah, they've done it. They got their objectives. The top inhibitor's down, Freak. They've got 2 inhibitors down with Elder Dragon spawning and an AoE Wombo combo. This is another dream setup for them.
Here we go. Looking for the ward control, looking to see that control ward spawned, and not going to back down. Means fog of war this entire route over. The only thing 100 Thieves can see is that brush next to mid lane. And Golden Guardians don't have to walk by it, they don't have to walk through it. But Connor's going to try again for some of the front line. They need to take this fight before Elder Dragon. They're going to go for their very best attempt on a 1k HP. A hook again on the front line. Closer around the back. Hunter here as well. Galio over the top, and it's going to find Poom, who has nowhere to go, and he's going to be the sacrificial lamb. Hanser, though, dangerously low as well, is a trade of kills, and one that is a positive for 100 Thieves. Ryoma Chunk Low won't yet die. FBI wants in, and he's not going to open up just yet. But this taunt, though, that's going to be it. That's going to be 2 kills to the back line. Someday can try his best, but it cannot be enough. Knocked into the air. Guardian Angel going to be popped. Ash still alive. Closer flashes in for Cody's son. He's gonna have the damage. He's unstoppable. There's the thinking emoji out of Demonte, and the TP to close out the game. Golden Guardians will improve to 3 wins, and they will knock down this different 100 Thieves lineup. The better team on paper. The composition run well. Golden Guardians edging closer to 50-50.
Demonte able to make the re-engage there. There was a slight opening for 100 Thieves, but none able to make it happen. Golden Guardians push it ahead. Pretty clean game from them, honestly.
Yeah.
In the last ultimate from Ryoma too, I was trying to think back if he has stunned a single person with his ultimate in this game, because so many of them people turn their backs to or wasn't able to get them.
Yeah. He stunned Huhi when he was stuck in the bottom river on that, like, the big 3-for-1 or 4-for-1 team fight. That's the one stun I saw. That said, though, point taken. Yes, did not have the greatest of games. Ryoma was not really able to open up on a much. Certainly Golden Guardians, the better performing team out of this one. And again, on paper, I expected that. I think Golden Guardians were better than a 2-4 team. I think they have some slightly easier games coming up for them, which I think they should clean up here as well. And we'll see how much that can move around. On the 100 Thieves side, though, it's the first game of the lineup. I do think this team can improve. I do think, though, it is still an uphill road for them, and it's going to be a difficult one. So we'll see how they can perform in the last, 12 or so games of the split. Now, before we go to the break, the LCS would like to recognize the passing of a cherished member of the gaming community, Byron Reckful Bernstein. We mourn his loss, and we have his family, friends, and fans in our hearts.
Hello and welcome back to the Verizon post-game interview. I'm joined by Closer after their victory over 100 Thieves. Closer, that seemed like a very straightforward game.
Yeah, I'm really happy how we played today. It was a good game.
And it does seem like the team has been kind of getting cleaner, and like I know I've heard from a lot of you that like you know you're good, you're just trying to clean things up. Do you feel like now after 3 weeks of play, coming into week 4, that the team is kind of hitting their stride?
Yeah, I still think there's a lot to improve on, but I feel like we are getting better day by day. And I just wanna we are just trying to right now be more consistent team. Like I think our early game is always good, but even against C9 we were ahead early game. Then like we are not really good at closing out the game and the decision making. So I think when we improve on those kind of things as well, we're gonna be a good, strong team.
And who's the kind of the main person on the team, whether it's on the team or in like one of the coaches that kind of helps with facilitating that decision process? Is that Enero fueling a lot of that, or is it someone on the team, or is it a combination of the two?
Usually we don't really have a problem in early game because I usually talk fully in early game. And for example, when we are playing practice, when we are scrimming, we don't really have problem at closing out the games and macro decisions, making like risky decisions. But when we go play at the stage, we are still like hesitant about some things. Like we just need to play like how we play in scrim basically. And I think we're gonna be fine. We just need to play more for that.
Yeah, I hear that one a lot, but I think it does hold true for a lot of teams. Talking about this matchup specifically, though, is there anything different about preparing for a jungler that has so little time in this split of the LCS?
Yeah, I knew that there's like new players in their team, like Poom and Contracts, and it's a new jungler. Like he played LCS before, but it was like his return. So I wanted to have like a strong jungle matchup that I can pressure him. And I think it worked this game. I had Graves against Volibear, and yeah, I think our plans worked.
Well, it seems like they did work out. Best of luck. Congratulations on your win today, and best of luck with your games tomorrow. For now, we're going to get more on that game and a breakdown from the State Farm analyst desk.
All right, thank you so much, Pastry Time. It's always great to hear from Closer, clearly an impactful member of that team, and also clearly very used to hearing people talk about his early game performance. But let's face it, after what we just saw, there's definitely a reason for that.
Yeah, I mean, Closer was super, super good, and he got the Graves again. It was an interesting decision by 100 Thieves to basically make a kind of setup trade like that, where they're grabbing Aphelios in the first round and giving up the Graves into a player who was mostly known for trying to play aggressive with fast-clearing junglers and stuff, so it's no surprise he popped off.
Yeah, Closer this fight, he really did work. He delivered the Gallia, which was pretty big.
Yeah, I think this is one of Golden Guardian's
when he got in, he really couldn't do anything anymore.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, this is like, I think, exactly what GGS wants. Casio actually has the faster rotation here, but since Galio is a global, and I think they like Damonte on globals like that, they're able to kind of set up a trap that is a pretty good bait. And when they went for the Tom Kinch, you know, they all just like dogpiled in there. And this is actually a really unfortunate one because, yeah, the Renekton TP was about 10 seconds off, but I think the mid-jungle synergy between Closer and Damonte has definitely been getting better, and here they're actually punishing the Casio cleanses on cooldown. So Damonte goes first. I think this is exactly what Closer wants, a mid laner who goes first where he's just come in and clean up the kills.
Yeah, it's a pretty clear playstyle that they're developing in terms of, you know, Damonte is more the supportive player for Closer to go and pop off, and he's always been a good team-centric player. Even back when he was on Kiana and some champions that are maybe a little bit greedier, he was still roaming all over the map and trying to function more as a setup than getting himself turbo-fed. So this is something that I think a lot of people are looking forward to, and they have been trying to do with Nidalee, and ever since they moved off the Nidalee pick, I think that they have looked a fair amount better, minus that, you know, pretty disappointing in execution game with the TF against the Mortals.
I mean, looking at moments like this within the game where the setup looked like it would end up favoring 100 Thieves, but Golden Guardians still able to turn it around, was that a symptom of the fight at hand, or do you feel that Golden Guardians have been working enough on that synergy, whether it be between mid lane and jungle, to create advantages out of these situations?
I mean, it looks like they did a good job of trading objectives. Like, before this, they were trading, jungle vision for the top turret, and then later they come back to regain it, and they're not super gung-ho. They're not going to just face-check bushes. They came from different angles to try to regain dragon vision, so I know Closer was talking about their kind of, weird decision-making later in the game, but it does look like it's improving, even though, there wasn't too much pressure on them because they were so ahead in that game, but it does seem like they are going through steps to trade objectives properly and to regain objectives without taking too much of a risk.
And in the end, those incremental changes can lead to a lot of sweeping changes for the organization's success. And we know that CLG in their match against Cloud9 are looking for a sweeping victory for themselves. So everybody stay tuned, because soon enough, we'll be heading into that banger of a match for our second one of the day.
Many of us are working from home and adjusting to new coworkers. Coworkers who borrow supplies and always interrupt meetings. A gift can help. And when you use your MasterCard, you have security benefits that keep you protected, so your purchase ends up in the right hands or mouth. And your staff can start something priceless.
Welcome, everyone. I am so happy to be speaking with your MasterCard Player of the Week. We have BlaBBR. I feel like I'm always talking to you about some kind of award you're getting or whatnot, but first things first, after starting off the split with a bunch of Olaf duty, what did it feel like this week to kick it back with some Lee Sin?
Felt pretty good. Lee Sin's always been one of my favorite champs to play, and I feel like it's really nice because you're able to make so many different plays as Lee, whereas on Olaf, you're kind of one-dimensional. You just farm every camp, and then you do the dragon when it spots.
That's totally fair. Now, one thing with your performance on Lee Sin and the many things that you've brought to the table, many commend Cloud9 for the way that they foster young North American talent, including yourself. And now we see 100 Thieves coming to the table trying to do the same. So what is your take on the way that these organizations in the LCS try to foster talent that come natively?
Like other teams besides C9, you mean? Or
yeah, just teams within the LCS in general, whether it be Cloud9 or other organizations, as you've noticed.
I think generally teams aren't the best, I'd say, in NA about fostering new NA talent. I think C9 is like one of the exceptions. I think they are really good at picking up new talent, and putting in the time and effort to make them better, I guess. I do think there are NA players that could definitely be good enough to play LCS, but I think there are like a lot of veterans that stick around and not enough new NA players that come, I guess. Because I do think if you really want to compete internationally, you need you can only have 2 imports, right? So you need 3 good NA residents.
Well, speaking to your own experience then, because if anybody knows what it's like to be a player being fostered and coming up through the scene, it's you. So what were the things that you focus on as a player, or think any player aspiring to be a professional should when looking for those native opportunities?
I mean, I don't think my case is really normal. I definitely say I'm really unique in what happened, in that I got to play my first academy split with Sneaky, Jensen, and Smoothie. Not many people will have that experience in academy. And 4 weeks in, I play LCS. I go to Worlds, my first split ever, and I think it's super unique for my case. But I definitely think if you want to really improve as a rookie, you need to be surrounded by veterans who can really teach you the game. So I mean, I do think like veterans in the scene is obviously a good thing. But if you really want to foster yourself as a young talent, you need people like good staff as well as other good players around you to help you learn.
Now, I give you mad props for giving props to all of those around you, really, the players and the staff. But I mean, let's face it, you as an individual have also accomplished a lot. People are speaking about the caliber of play you brought to the table. So I've got to challenge you to put it on yourself for a second right now. Do you feel that you have the potential to be one of the strongest players that the LCS has seen?
Yeah, I mean, I think even right now, I think I'm one of the best players in the league. I could say the same for every single one of my teammates. I think we're all one of the best. And I think it's just something that we will continue to do. We want to keep dominating, and we want to keep being the best. And obviously our end goal is going to Worlds and doing well after the split. So hopefully we accomplish it.
Such a classic Cloud9 way. I try to get you to talk about yourself, and you still manage to talk about how wonderful your team is. But I got to respect it, man. I know you got a match to go ahead and get ready for, so I'm going to let you do that, and I'm going to get back to the desk myself. So I'll catch you later.
Yep. Thank you.
Like I said, I gotta respect it. I can't get BlaBBR to talk about himself. And granted, we have been talking about BlaBBR plenty from week to week. So let's take a page out of his book. It's time to talk about some of the other Cloud9 members on that roster. First things first, giving a shout out to Vulcan, who has been a very dominating force as support in the bot lane.
Yeah, definitely want to give a shout out to him. He's someone who people always talk about being underrated. I don't think it's about being underrated so much as maybe under-talked about, under-discussed. He's became the best support in North America pretty quietly because there's this giant black hole of attention in the mid and jungle for Cloud9. But he has been absolutely incredible ever since joining from Clutch, and he and Sven, you know, I was watching, they had only been solo killed once, and I think it was this split. I'll have stats team correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I don't think Vulcan has ever died in a 2v2 just like trading pattern. And the one time Sven did die was like he was too far forward on Aphelios while Vulcan was on warding duty or something. So he has been absolutely incredible, and he is number 2 on the global KDA leaderboard. He was number 1 last week. Sven not too far behind though.
Yeah, Sven is obviously a big part of this, right? When we talk about the playstyle of Cloud9 being so focused around the jungle and the mid lane, the bot lane still has its own presence here. So, Wild Turtle, you have experience playing against this bot lane duo, and Sven specifically. What does he offer?
He's just very consistently good in laning and making good team decisions. I would say their bot lane is like obviously one of the best in the leagues, but I think what makes them really good is just how well they're playing with their teammates as well.
And in trying to support the rest of the teammates, it feels like you look at someone like Vulcan, right, that needs to be a playmaker. Everyone works towards that aggression that Blabber is allowed to offer. Probably as a duo here in the bottom, though, they're really difficult to go against Cloud9 in general. What is CLG looking to do, whether it's something to exploit or just put themselves at the forefront for a victory, not just in winning victory, but maybe even a little gold for themselves or something?
Well, I mean, you want an obtainable goal, and it's obviously not kill Sven or Vulcan, because it seems like their KDAs are just too good. It's not worth going after them. But as we can see, the gold early game, that is the one weakness you can kind of exploit on C9. And by that, I mean is you can actually get a gold lead against C9 early. There's 3 games at 10 minutes where they're actually behind in gold. And this is the time where you can actually out-skirmish them a bit if you can play well enough. And after that, what you have to do is you need to have a stable gold lead. You don't want it to skyrocket back up. I don't expect it to skyrocket it down, but I just want to have a more stable gold lead if they can achieve it. If you lose that early game skirmish, though, it's going to look like, you know, the first 3 graphs of Immortals EG where it just goes all the way in C9's favor. But if they can keep a dead heartbeat monitor, that's what they want in their gold lead today.
For once, we are not asking for big swings one way or another. We are asking for some consistency and tranquility. But with that, we're going to relax a bit. Everyone in the audience should, because we are heading into games soon enough. Freak and Kobe, take it away.
Thank you very much, Gabby. Yes, this is going to be an exciting one, a battle at the top of the table. Cloud9, the undisputed best team in the LCS. They've lost 2 individual games all year long. And CLG have found themselves in second place and have been a sweetheart because, I mean, they were miserable in spring and summer has been so much better.
Yeah, and remember they also started the season by getting perfect gamed. And they've made it up to second place here. So it definitely has been, a big rise for them. Cloud9, though, like you're saying, top dog in the LCS for the entirety of spring as well as summer.
We are into the way with 5 bans done already. More Twisted Fate going to get dropped off the table. Volibear going to start riding the bench a whole lot more here in the LCS. Interesting to see CLG still banning Yuumi, a champ that I really do not think is that viable anymore. I think the nerfs are big enough to not make her that big of a concern. I would say let your opponents play her if you want to, or if they want to, and just go ahead and take her to the lane, but they're saying no, not for that right now. We'll see what they want to first pick.
Okay, still the Varus and Kalista duo of marksmen banned out as well. See if they continue on with some early picks along that line. Ezreal and Ashe both available still. Trundle pick, I kind of like it well. Excuse me, go ahead.
Oh, I just think the Aphelios is there as well.
Yeah, true. And again, a lot of people have started to walk away from the champion, or at least put a little bit of distance. So I like Cloud9 going the Ezreal route here, especially for Sven, has been super strong with it.
Yeah, I do want to point out Aphelios, of course, was nerfed in 10.13. Looking at all leagues globally, including regional leagues like EU Masters, Aphelios is still the 2nd or 3rd most picked in ban champion in pro play. He's still above 80% presence. Now, this may still fall away over time as teams realize, yeah, there are better substitutes, but even in the early days of the patch, people are still very keen on playing this one. Lee Sin again here for Blabber. It's going to tie Olaf as most games played this split. Says, yeah, you can make a lot of different plays as champion. Obviously not always a hard farmer, but he is very efficient in getting his gold. And there's the Aphelios we expected to see. So it's like the patch never happened. We've got very, very standard AD carries and junglers for both these teams.
Oh, woo, Aphelios Ezreal again. Honestly, for the lane, a lot of marksmen have been talking about how they do like the extra range, obviously, with Ezreal. And that's one of the big things you can use against Aphelios. But I just like the Lee Sins into Trundle. I know there's a lot of people critiquing, some of the junglers that don't scale as well, but Lee Sin, especially for Cloud9, can create so much action for them. And we've seen Blabber in the last 2 games. This is his 3rd Lee Sin in a row. Diving turrets super early on, trying to force a lot of plays for the team. And if they lock in Rakan on top of it, that is huge playmaking once again for Cloud9.
So Rakan locked in support, did also receive buffs in 10.13. Interestingly, Rakan does not always pick the same skill order. Sometimes they max W first, sometimes they max it last, both in solo queue and pro play. It's kind of seemingly based on player taste. But if you max W first, it's going to do 20 more damage at max rank. And if Vulcan wants to go super hard and go and aggro on people, he's going to have a bit more damage on those engages. And that seems, based on the comp we're seeing so far, like the more likely setup here. The Ezreal in the back line. I actually like him a lot in dive teams because the ulti can always reach, but also you can self-peel when you're left alone, so I think he works really well in aggressive team compositions. Even though Ezreal is not usually considered such an aggressive champion, he still benefits off those comps pretty well.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The extra mobility goes a very long way, especially because, honestly, almost all Cloud9 comps are some form of dive comp, yeah?
Yeah, they are.
They definitely focus early on these skirmishes and on trying to dive and push that ahead. Galio is going to be banned out, as that would be a really good piece that synergizes with Rakan, especially being a super good delivery for that and being able to layer those 2 CCs. So I like that ban from CLG. Meanwhile, Cloud9 taking out a couple of those solo laners that they don't want CLG to be blinding.
All right, the last few seconds tick down to CLG ban. Another mid laner away from Niski here, who has been playing a fair bit of Galio. There's the Jace gone there as well. So the most picked champions for both the solo laners have been banned out there with 2 picks apiece. They're gone this time. And now C9 needs to blind pick one of their solos. They could go for a flex, when they could go into both lanes. Wukong, though, is just a top laner realistically and would be a very strong one at that.
Okay, Cloud9 did play it with FLICKR before. That was with, Twisted Fate plus a lot of jungle attention, all camping for FLICKR and completely blasting the top side. It looks like it's gonna get locked in again here. So let's see. There's no Twisted Fate this time around. Maybe still Blabber does, throw some attention up there, but blinding Wukong is definitely punishable. You can have some strong melee matchups into it. I know a lot of people that like Jason sets as far as melee ones. You can also go the AP route if you want, since again, magic resist stuff is passive, but I like a lot of the bruiser options.
Yeah, might see some added damage out there. Of course, we have physical damage in the jungle, physical damage in the bot lane there as well. We'll see what that ends up being there as the Syndra comes through, and Malphite is magic damage, likes to build a lot of armor so we can withstand the Wukong pressure, and I mean, he'll be armor typed pretty well. The problem is there aren't a lot of good Malphite ult targets. Ezreal on LAN, or at least on very, very low ping, which is the case here, since the LCS is online after all. The server's in LA, and so you got like 6 ping on these servers, and Sven should have no problem market shifting away. But now it means what are you going to play alongside this? Syndra has good single target deletion. Malphite has good target access. So Rumble, a bit tankier of a mid lane mage. They need magic damage to the composition. They say, yeah, Rumble can easily go forward with the engage tools, and I can withstand a lot of this pressure as well.
Yeah, and Niski's been flying the Phoenix 1 flag, throwing up that emote over and over every chance he gets in the game. So makes sense that he's going to use one of Doinb's best champions that he has been using very frequently in the LPL, in the Rumble. And he plays that style as well. We talked about so much with the roaming support that Niski lends to both of the side lanes, roaming with Blabber, trying to create a lot of those kills and really push the Lee Sin aggression up to another level. Biggest thing about Rumble is, of course, on your level 6, you have so much more team fighting power, but also being able to chase people down with those slows and the long range cast of your equalizer. You can join from a much further distance than most of the other mid laners. Even if he's not Twisted Fate and he's gonna get there with a gold card, it's still a lot of damage.
Yeah, a lot of range, and I'm actually glad you mentioned early game pressure here as well, and mentioning the junglers, because 10.13 nerfs Syndra as well. The first 8 levels of the game, her Q costs more mana, so her wave clear, her early lane management is not quite as good either. So in the first 9 minutes of the game, we may see Niski get the jump a little bit more often, unless Pobelter can get the first blue handed off at 7:30 or so, and kind of weather that storm. It still will mean less pressure in the early game, and that's something to watch out for. How much can the mid laners move around? Because yes, Niski is all about getting to the side lanes, all about setting his teammates up. I'm not sure how much you can dive a Malphite. I'm not sure how much you can dive for an Ezreal, but we still expect there to be pressure on those sides.
We definitely expect there to be pressure in a Cloud9 game. Let's see if CLG have what it takes to be the first to take them down in summer. Everybody's trying to be the first, see if they can get that one game off of Cloud9, but Cloud9 look like they've got that 18-0 in their sights and have been sticking to it.
Alrighty, Super Galaxy comeback breaker. Niski's going to hope that he can make sure CLG don't get a comeback into this game. I want to point something out that's kind of interesting, because Cloud9 people say they have a very good early game overall, but it really depends on when you measure the stat. If you're measuring it at 15, yeah, they are clapping everyone. They're up 2.5 Drakes every single time. They're up in a bunch of gold. If you measure it at 10, only 2 of their players have a gold lead at 10 minutes, jungle and mid. Everyone else tends to be a little bit behind. The other teams are good at laning against them. It's when you get into any mid-game skirmish at all, that's when Cloud9 turns it on. And so the first 10, I think, are where CLG can strike. Their early game, not particularly good either. None of their players have gold leads at 10 minutes, despite their 4-2 record. They win the games, they're just not ahead early on. Cloud9 spike a little bit earlier and are an overall stronger team, and I'm just kind of curious what this early game ends up looking like as a result here.
I've got some more stats for you as well that really define the Cloud9 uniqueness in their playstyle. So Blabber has the most kills in the LCS coming into this week of any player, not just any jungler. And by the way, there's not even another jungler in the top 12 of kills in the LCS. It's just Blabber at the top. Now, Niski is number 4 in assists for all LCS players, and there's not another mid laner in the top 12 for assists. Let's put that on hold as we have Blabber going for a red buff level 2 gank bottom.
Double knockup, ignite onto Stixxay. Here's a Lee Sin, ward hop in, can't land the Q. Stixxay flashed up and not down, and Blabber had to guess. Nice of him to flash behind Smoothie, but look at that. Already 2 summoners gone off the very first gank of the game.
Yeah, he made a beeline straight from red buff all the way down to the bottom side. Combining with Vulcan with the ignite, they get double summoners off of sticks. They force the bad back for him as well. Be able to purchase much there, and Blabber gets right back into blue side clear. You always say creating that early action. Poor Lee Sin doesn't waste any time at it.
Decent damage out of Ruin, though, able to land quite a few spells down there. Is going for the standard sort of mana sustain, right? He's got Scorch, he's got Comet and all that stuff, but he's getting a lot of damage down here on the Liquor. She's at half HP. There's going to be a brawl. One more auto. The flash follow. Ruin has a Q soon. He might. No! He walked into vision. Liquor just bopped him with the staff and gets the solo kill top lane.
Just bopped him on the head. There you go. Oh my goodness. The flash follow right there. Ruin fought him with the minions and the clone right next to him as well. Both of them were channeling their potions, and Licorice is going to be able to take this one home. Let's see here. Let's see exactly how many minions are helping out with the fight as well. He chases him into the triple range plus the cannon. The clone got 1 auto off. And then with the extra auto there, yeah, Licorice was 1 auto ahead on this trade. And as you mentioned, he goes to the vision first, so it's an easy Q out of the brush.
He's going to land, flash to pull him into the turret, and says, okay, no gank to be had, but now Wiggly's here, walking through the lane. That's going to be a lot of damage there. A nice scatter for Pobelter, buys his teammate the time, but that is flashed down on 4 members within 4 minutes on the CLG side.
It's very fun to watch C9 work here. Top lane earned the flash diffs themselves with Licorice there, but Blabber making some quick work of both of the other lanes. In that scenario, when they're all down like this, all of the lanes for CLG now have to be second-guessing themselves. And you can see they're all at their turrets. Every member of CLG very wary at the moment, and that's when Blabber can return to farm the camps after the aggressive work has been done and allowing the lanes to perform.
What I find impressive is Blabber's jungle path was red buff topside into bottom lane, and he is equal in farm to the opposing jungler. That is just absurdly shocking to me that somehow he's farmed equally, despite the fact that he had to run 5,000 units to gank. And now, yes, Ward hops into the lane, but Ruin has walked back enough, obviously with the Q, gets the move speed, kites away, no gank for Blabber. Wiggly here for the counter gank though, and a level lead for Ruin. This fight could go very, very well. He's gonna get hit there, and Blabber, ooh, that pillar was sick by Wiggly. It's not gonna turn into a kill, but that was so nice. It stops the safeguard.
And the big thing here, there's no teleport on LCR because he just used it to give out to lane towards that mid lane play that they tried to pull off. So it's a really well-timed move from Wiggly to push them off and create some pressure there. Because of it, LCR is not backing though, and they don't have to pressure to deny the minion wave. So it ends up turning into nothing for CLG as LCR still is able to get the minions up in the tower.
And LCR's gonna knock down the wave pretty well. Very expertly done here on Wukong. Knows the damage output, knows he can get it with 1 or 2 autos. The double longsword obviously really helpful in that one. The 300 gold for the kill would not have allowed them that otherwise, but knocks down the waves, gonna feel really comfortable. Tiamat done, that's now a lot of wave control. That's gonna feel really comfortable as Ven TP's down to the bottom lane. Tyr is stacking up now, gets the call on that one as well, as there was much else to buy except a longsword if he was going for Trinity Force. So yeah, I don't wanna buy Sapphire Crystal, we'll just get the AD instead.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely agree with that one. Checking the potions and keeping the minions right in front of his tower. So he wants to deny as many of these minions as he can. There's no teleport for 6A since he went the heal flash version. So he can deny a decent amount of that wave and increase the CS lead for the Vulcan Sven, plus allowing Vulcan to go roam around with Blabber. Pretty big power opening here for Cloud9.
Look at that. It's under 6 minutes 30 into the game, and Cloud9's jungler is hitting the Drake. I've seen this story before, and it's called every Cloud9 game of the entire split. Ulti burned down on the top side. LCR's getting big damage on a Ruin. Second ult comes in, and that is our difference. That is a solo kill ×2 in the top lane.
Level 6 Wukong. You always got to watch out for the all-in freak. Double ultimate activation there for LCR. He stacked up the Conqueror so easily. He's got his early Tiamat too, so just annihilates the wave. LCR with the Wukong once again, showing the rest of the North American top laners what they are missing out on.
Yeah. I mean, this is what top lane looks like when you go for the solo kill and it backfires on you back at level 3. This lane looks different without that gold injection, but obviously now it's going to be a real tough one for Ruin and the rest of CLG to navigate. This early game is going to look great for LCR's going to pad his stats a ton on the season averages. A 800 gold lead individually, which is the vast majority of the gold lead in this game.
All right, quick blue handoff to Pobelter. See if he can get back. Doesn't lose out on any of the minions. We haven't even really seen a big influence of the mid lane roam that we're kind of hyping up for Niski. There's been a lot of just Blabber, Lee Sin, creating some opportunities, and then LCR's by himself doing work on Wukong. He earned his own experience advantage with the 1v1 solo kill, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
And it was, to be fair, just one auto difference as far as how close it was in the miscalculation, but that means a whole lot as Cloud9 can use that to snowball. Rift Herald will be picked up pretty easily for them because you can see Wiggly is on the bottom half of the map for Trundle, and again, both their lanes are under their towers. Syndra trying to clean up the minions. Malphite now finally hitting level 6, but not much they can do there either.
That is a nice hook. That's damage on Rakam, but of course he can easily kite back to his squad and just jumps back, and it's not an issue at all.
All right. Mid lane or top lane with the Rift Herald, looking like they want to do some sort of counter jungling first. Ruin does have ultimate, so with an ult and flash, it's unlikely that he dies in any sort of top lane focus, but they might be able to get some cooldowns out of him.
Blast plant popped. Wiggly's going to look for the dive down here. This is a potential 3v2. Ulti up for Smoothie. He can take turret for a bit. Getting some turret damage. They get the play. Wiggly's going to kill the ward. No other play to be had. TP's not available. Instead, it's a topside play. Blabber wants him with LCR, kicks him back in crowd control. There's the first knockup. There's a whole lot more. Malphite's not going to live through this one. Ruin ulti just does nothing. But Pobelter, yeah, only finds some poke. Can't even go for the kill on that one either. They dodged the aggro on the turret so very well. Cloud9 now going to summon the Herald, and Niski wants in. Pobelter has to be warned. He's slowed. Here comes the squad. There's Flash suddenly out of nowhere. Vulcan's in there as well, and they find 2 kills topside.
And The big thing here, Cloud9, they completely give up on their weak side. Vulcan says, I'm out of here. This is weak side of the map. He's not going to waste any time. Sven can just stand there very safe with the Ezreal. He kites way back, doesn't give up any kills for Cloud9. And it allows them, the extra person, just completely overloading their strong side of the map, even getting the extra kill onto Pobelter as Vulcan got back out, goes over the wall, and they chase down another one, plus the entire turret, including turret plates, and first turret bonus picked up.
At the very least, it is 4 plates picked up bot side for CLG as well. They really pushed Sven's far back. He had to bleed out for this one, but I mean, that's, you take those, right? You're down 4 plates, you're up 20 CS, and your top lane is hard snowballing. Yeah, that's fine. Sven's going to be completely okay here. He's not going to get brutalized much more afterwards, and that's going to feel really comfortable. Mid lane scrap happens again. Niski just keeps throwing out the sad B every time he's not able to get the entire wave, but yeah, he's fine.
All right, and just like that, remember, their quote-unquote weak side of the map was already so far ahead in CS for Sven and Vulcan that he still has over a 20 CS lead for himself and trying to push back on that tower and get some turret plates for themselves for Cloud9. Again, with the roam starting now to come through for Niski, we just saw top side one adding the extra damage with the Rumble ultimate. Now he just hovered halfway down through the red buff side of the jungle to threaten with this bottom side push in tandem, and it's just at this point it's too difficult to deal with the power swings from Cloud9. Already setting up for another dragon, 35 seconds ahead.
Nicola's stacking, the farm is being gained, and are you ready to defend bot lane here? Controller in the brush, that's going to get spotted out by Vulcan. Says, okay, yep, we know what's going on down here. Let's just give Sven some alone time. Let's just have Stixay and Smoothie fail to get any farmer experience. They finally walk in with the last 2 caster minions. Turret plate's already almost gone, so Sven's farming that one back without much issue. There only is a 2 plate difference down there. The farm difference still 30 between these two. That's going to make up for that one, no problem at all. Obviously, the Vulcan roams are nice, and CLG looking a bit like game 1 of the season, where they're not getting anything on the board.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's really hard to critique the teams playing against Cloud9, as most of them have looked very similar, but definitely agree. They're super struggling, especially, of course, with you know, all the stuff that went on top side, and the Malphite pick into it. It's just, they're not much going to get much out of this. So Cloud9 just stack it right up. Dragon number 2, right on schedule, Freak, and they actually have a decent amount of mid-game options too. Let's see how long it takes for them to finish up on the bottom turret.
Wiggly's going to get a little help from Pobelter to keep his farm up. This Trundle does have decent gold income, equal level, up about 3 camps over Blabber. Wiggly can be useful. Obviously, this game is still 3,500 apart, and that is ludicrously different. We're not even 13 minutes in, and the gold lead is, I mean, a big one even for a mid-game goal. This is still pretty early on to the game. FLICKR going to be able to grab the Scuttle top side. 2 level lead temporarily over Ruin. 10-8 up there. That is rough stuff. Obviously, a Malphite can still do his job without gold, but you'd like to have some.
Yeah, it's just that Licorice gets to do like 2 people jobs now. He's got almost a Trinity Force built up with the Tiamat. He's going full carry Wukong. This is gonna be some massive damage, to say the least, as soon as they get to these team fights. And CLG, like you're saying, they're still going to stick to the same game plan. You know, they have very straightforward front line to try and set up for Stixay's Aphelios. You know, Aphelios definitely needs a couple items before he really brings the power behind that setup, but Nautilus ultimate into a Syndra stun and Malphite ultimate should be the tools that they try and use to, you know, focus fire someone. As you mentioned in Champ Select, though, very mobile champions for Cloud9.
Yeah, and we saw for a little bit, Licorice was trying to freeze up on the top side. Of course, that's difficult with Tiamat. Every last hit just knocks down the mid next to it for, you know, half the attack damage. But he is denying farm. You can see Ruin just not even willing to walk back top side. Instead, he's going to find something else to do around this side of the map. Finally, top has to be pushed down, so he takes the recall there on Licorice's side. And here comes the attempted play, right? We've got 4 members down here with Syndra missing as well. Sven, yeah, just going to throw out Qs. He's like, I'm not worried about this one. Yeah, I know you're in fog. Yeah, your team could show up. Yeah, we still don't see Malphite top side. You might be down here. It's been a minute and a half, and you're still not up in your lane. Well, wait. No gank? Okay, cool. See ya.
Yep, and there's a teleport ready for Licorice, so if they actually get a little bit too far forward here for CLG, You can see Cloud9 are ready to collapse. I was asking, how long left on the bottom lane turret? Doesn't look like very long because they brought every single member down here, and it's very straightforward now for Cloud9 with this big lead, and with level 11 on Niski now, with level 2 Rumble Ultimate, they can not only take the bottom tower, but they might be looking to collect some kills after this CLG bot lane too.
Here comes the play. The flash gets away from the anchor, kick into the wall. Stixxay is low. FLICKR needs another auto, and he gets it. That's the shield back of the squad as well. A stopwatch buys a few seconds for Smoothie. Knockup's coming around. Rumble over the top. Pobelter has nowhere to go. He gets a trade kill, so CLG's on the board, but Cloud9 win the fight 2-1. And they want a little bit more. Niski gonna walk into 3. He knows he's right in front of him. Maybe more than he wanted. He overheats. His health bar's running low. He looks for the kill. Ruin flashes away, but the Q snipe for Vulcan gets 1. The flash to safety. C9 gets a 3rd. They get the turret as well. And they're ready to go for turret number 2.
A steamroller right through the bottom lane. Freak. Blabber's flash over the hook of Smoothie too was really well done. Right into the face of Stixxay. Getting the kick into the wall. Oh my goodness. Like, even if you see it coming, it's still exciting to watch the play unfold before you, as Cloud9's aggression goes rewarded on the bottom side. They clean up the bottom tower, so easy point for them next. Rift Trail number 2 is available, and they can use that to crack it in.
And that's going to be pretty likely here on this one as we watch that fight yet again, and it's just so good. It's so good for Blabber here.
Let's take a look. Smoothie close. He was in the brush, too. That was coming out of the brush. Blabber was ready for it. Some of that is he was already probably thinking of, I need to flash on the Delios to get the hit into the wall. But the timing of it works out extremely well there, too, even though he does end up going down. And then you start cheering on Niski, and you're like, okay, he's got Zhonya's and he has flash, so he's playing aggressive, starts out baiting one more member of CLG for Vulcan to end up killing. There you go. That's the Rift Trail I was talking about. A boom. Mid lane.
They want Ruin. They want Ruin. Ult, Charm, Knockup. A lot of damage there. Wukong falling through as well. Ruin still ultiless. Does not have the escapes. Licorice on a rampage. Trinity Force is done. He is snowballing, but watch out for Sven. Just arcane shifts as the stun lands. Still able to walk away.
Now, let's see. Do they use the Rift Trailed first charge on the outer turret right there, or they just try and knock it over by hand? Looks like they do activate it a little bit further back. So either way, it is going to go down. If you can knock it over by hand first, then Shelly obviously doesn't take a big chunk for health and damage. You usually the big chunk on the next one, but boom, it's gone.
And there you go. Big chunk yet again. That turret's very, very low. Maybe an auto for Sven. Doesn't want to risk it. Smoothie lands the anchor. You're probably going down everything else. Would have loved to get a little bit of burst, but it's fine. No big problems here. The gold difference, oh man, it's 7,000 17 minutes into the game. This is every single Cloud9 game. You pass 50-minute mark, and the gold graph just goes up and to the right rapidly, and it's a steep slope up there. Brick number 3 going to drop in a second as well.
Yeah, and a lot of it, yes, we've been focusing on Blabber. He creates so much action for the team. He has insane stats. This time around, though, I think Licorice should be getting a lot of the accolades because people have memed on him. He's been memeing himself about a lot of the games, dying first or even getting first blooded. But this time around, with the extra auto on that 1v1 early, he has just completely ran his early lead ahead and steamroll this game. So it just feels like there are no options for CLG. And you saw that last kill in the jungle. It is just unbelievable. There's no fighting back in that point. It's a full Trinity Force. Looking probably for a Death Dance after this as well to go full 1v9 mode carry.
Yeah.
The main standard build for Wukong. And nothing for him to be deterred by.
Vulcan tries to bring the reinforcements. Licorice plays like he's afraid of them. Smoothie gonna walk around. He's got Pobelter nearby as well. So here's the charm, here's the knockout. They find backline. Big damage though. This could be the kill right away, and Blabber can't get through it. Bit of MR, but not enough. Good defense by CLG. Get their second kill of the game, defending their blue buff.
Yeah, huge. You need to take every blessing that you can get. Nice lockdown there onto Blabber, cutting off the Lee Sin. Also, they do secure the blue buff, as you say, for Pobelter for the Syndra. It's going to be pretty big for him and trying to keep up with this farm. As I say that though, I see another wave that was pushed into the bottom turret by Niski that starts dying, as well as this mid tower being so incredibly low already.
See what they go for next. Blabber is back on the map now, ready to run back down. You're seeing he's got the individual 1,200 gold lead. Mid is close in farm. That's the only lane that's really that way. Everyone else is at least 1,000 over their opponent, or at least close to it in the case of support. Who's going to go for this one? Licorice is around. The smite was early. Wiggly, oh, I'm so sorry for you. That's a heartbreak. That is 100 gold going the other way.
We got to start playing some more little house games here. Like,
okay.
He starts messing around with who's going to get the Gromp. Does get in, try and steal those types of things. Or even, what are we thinking about, the Cloud9 interview after this? Because they've become all the same, where all the members are just like, yeah, we're waiting for a team in North America to challenge us.
Yeah. I know the closest they said someone got was Team Liquid. They obviously beat them handily, but they said, look, of the scrim records, Team Liquid's is the closest. Not that they're winning in scrims that often, but they're at least winning sometimes. They're mortal, they can bleed, at least in practice. I mean, this is a squad that lost 2 games across, I don't know, a good 35 last split. And, they're about 7 games in now and not showing any signs of slowing down. This is the best team in North America. They are absurdly far ahead of everyone. They are aggressive, they are exciting, they are fun, and they're going to keep going. I want to see how long this can run for them. Ruin's going to try, gets a nice knock-up, gets some damage. Pillar's there as well. Here comes Licorice's attempt at it as well, but there's just still a flash going over. He's trying to run away. The slows are still in. True Shot Barrage won't quite land. The anchor's going to hit the turret, and here comes the ulti. They're finally get the kill. It took 3, but they get the kill picked off. There is Licorice going down for his first death of the game.
And the rest of Cloud9 pushing on the other side of the map. When they're so far ahead like this and CLG commit this many members, you need to be able to get stuff with the rest of your team. As 4 members of CLG pretty much commit to the tower dive, it's going to cost them a tower of their own, but you have to make those plays for CLG. That's the first step, definitely a big one for them, cutting down Licorice. That was a gold bounty off of the Wukong, and they did get their first outer tower killed. Well done there for CLG, trying to claw their way back into this one.
And the downside of that shutdown was kill credit went to Smoothie's Nautilus. You would have liked that. I mean, it's not like any of them are that big of gold scalers. It was Malphite, Trundle, Nautilus going together for it, but still kind of sucks to go to support. You don't gain that much more power with items here in the support role. You get tankier, but that doesn't really mean that much in most cases. Regardless, CLG feeling a bit more comfortable. Gold lead staying at 7,000. Very large one, but at least it's not growing just yet as they take bottom scuttle. They know Mountain Soul comes in a minute, and with Mountain Soul, this game is basically unlosable as CLG's sort of persistent damage is not that high right now.
And they're going to have to look at burst damage then. Pobelter's got a Spellbinder for Syndra. You got to try and find one of these squishier carries. That's one of the things with the Cloud9 roster. They play a lot of these aggressive compositions with a lot of playmaking and not a lot of tanking. So you have to watch out for Niski Zhonya's. Don't Syndra ult that one because it's in the mutant. But try and pick off one of those carries. Use the Spellbinder, get some big damage, and try and do an attack and retreat. You get your kill, you back off to recuperate before C9 can take advantage of your cooldowns being used.
Blabber able to sweep the wards, has the Umbral Glaive first item after the Warrior. Pobelter trying to get vision, but he could be jumped on from Fog. They don't know he's there for sure, but they could be in that brush. They're going to walk in, reveals one. Licorice is there, not going to burn the ulti just yet. Pillar's going to be nice, though. It's a re-engage. It's Blabber going for the kick, and they found Stixay. There is no team fight left. Smoothie not going to walk away too easily. Pops Stone Plate. Q's not going to land. Rumble through the top. He's burning down. He goes back through it. Wide Q to the right. Trade kill onto Vulcan? Not just yet. Here comes the re-engage. Vulcan back to safety. Malphite lands on nobody. They all juke away from it, and Cloud9 are just more skilled than the other teams here. CLG's on the run. Ruin's gonna try, then flashes the wall. One last Q to get the ace. And it's time for Mountain Soul plus the base to go down. Cloud9 running over this game.
That is the best team in North America, Freak. That is Cloud9 just styling in CLG's jungle. Oh my goodness. Vulcan goes to go check to make sure that the kill's going to come through on the burn down from Niski's ultimate, and they think they can try and get something on the backside again. A stopwatch usage. He's able to just slide right out. Guys in the Malphite ultimate to whiff. Oh my goodness. This feels like such an unassailable task for team to take down Cloud9. Blabber's here as well with his Q on Smoothie, be able to use it to go over and kick Stixay in. Just, oh my goodness, walking right into that one as they looked like they were escaping, walking away. absolutely basing in there. And then here's again, Vulcan's slick escape. Stopwatch buys just enough time, and the double dash plus the heal. No escape for NCS members either.
Predictive too. It was Vulcan. First of all, shout out to Spellbook going into barrier, so he's like unkillable. That was really nice. And then as soon as he eased backwards, he W's off to the side, as does Sven. Arcade shifting off to the side to dodge Malphite. So like, yeah, we're all grouped up here. This is a Malphite ult. Let's just preemptively cast the spell. He's going to go for it, and they were right. Really beautiful stuff right there. Cloud9 absurdly ahead. Mountain Soul is on. Gold lead 10,000. Baron's on the table at 25 minutes, and not going to stop them anytime soon.
Yeah. All right, with the Baron, that's going to be Cloud9 marching towards CLG base, looking to end it with this one. It has not really taken Cloud9 more than a Baron in the game thus far. Don't expect it to this time either, but 10,000 gold behind, facing a Mountain Soul, facing the Baron, and CLG have to defend their base against all odds. What did they come up with, Freak?
They're going to come up with turtling in the base and hoping a team fight materializes in front of them. I'm not expecting big plays to come through. They're going to sit behind this wall. They're going to look for maybe an engage, but Syndra's not anywhere nearby. Ulti just zones off smooth. He doesn't do a whole lot. Not the best equalizer, to be fair. Not the cleanest. Stixxay hasn't burned the ulti just yet, but I mean, they're so tanky. Like, they did all that damage and it just popped the Mountain Soul shield off, and now it's back.
I think that's, you know, just the fact that the Rumble Ultimate is down. CLG might be hoping for some extra miracle here. Cloud9, though, they're just sending Licorice over towards mid to get the double push with their Baron buff. And as you can see, that cannon minion threatening to finish off the top tower by itself. Now, these waves are not synced up. So CLG can ping pong. You ping pong towards mid, deal with that one. Then you get back towards the bottom one, try and deal with that one. And the split push doesn't have as big of an effect, but you really have to jump on the opportunity.
Okay, Anchor goes in. Again, Sven, reflex is solid. Gets away from that one. Is on cooldown for a few seconds. Then there's Malphite into the back line. They find some CC. Ulti's traded back forward, and here comes the kick. It's not going to get too much, but they will catch Pole Belters. Wukong gets the back line, and Rumble helps that as well. Ruin's gone now on top of that one. Wiggly can't find the kills, and it's Stixxay basically in his support. And there's Equalizer number 2. Can't get away, and Ace again without any death. Cloud9 walking over CLG. 27 minutes in, the second ace with the wave, ready to knock down the Nexus turrets. Cloud9 will not be stopped. There will be 7-0. They will drop CLG to their third loss. Only 3 kills in this game. Cloud9 have no equals. They show it again today.
No miracle at the end of that game, Freak. Cloud9. Honestly,
they're better. Like, how else do you sum this up? They are so much better than everyone else. That is just the unassailable truth of Cloud9 and the LCS. On their worst day against someone else's best day, they might lose. But until you show me a pattern of being a substantially better team, no one even comes up to their shoulders here. You've got waste at most. They're like not even in the camera shot when you're taking these selfies, right? Cloud9 are way up here, and one day we might see someone catch up. But for now, every other team is battling for second.
And what I've liked in some of the teams that have given them a bit of a run, they focus super heavily on the early game. I think any of the teams that kind of cede any sort of ground, just even in Champ Select towards the early game, towards any sort of matchup that Cloud9 can pry open, are doomed. And we've seen a couple of times of these teams drafting for some super strong matchups and, you know, trying to keep it interesting, getting some early kills there. So, I mean, that's where you've got to start, is what I feel like.
Yeah, early games have been winnable. Again, as we mentioned, 3 of these players have a negative gold difference at 10. These lanes can be won. The individual skill in the 1v1s and 2v2s is there in the league. We've seen it from the teams, but when the minutes, you know, past 10, that's when it starts getting incredible. That's when the C9 synergy really shows up. Yes, we might see some early game pressure. It's if that next 5 to 10 can be shored up for the team, maybe they can start measuring up. They haven't been able to do it yet. We'll see, though. Of course, more games to play. Now we're stepping away, but after that break, Vulcan will be joining Pacey Time for the Verizon post-game interview, so don't miss it.
Verizon knows how to build unlimited right. You start with America's most awarded network, the one with unbeatable reliability 13 times in a row.
This network is one less thing I have to worry about.
Then you give people more plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need.
Verizon Unlimited plan is so reasonable, they could stay on for the rest of their lives.
You include the best in entertainment And you offer it all starting at $35. Because everyone deserves the best. This is unlimited built right. Only on Verizon.
Your Honda MVP!
Dreams aren't achieved overnight. They take passion.
It's Mr. World 3.
Dedication. And even then, there are no guarantees. But for the LCS, that's the power of dreams.
Too bad!
It means you never give up. It means you always play again. Honda, proud automotive partner of the LCS.
Hello and welcome to the Verizon post-game interview. I'm joined by Vulcan from the once again victorious Cloud9. Starting to feel like I don't even need to, predict the game because you guys are just winning everything.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty used to winning too. I think. Last year I used to be like winning a game felt amazing, and now winning a game is just the expected. It's getting a bit boring. Maybe I should lose some to get back to winning, feeling better, I guess.
Maybe. I know you also said that right now it does feel like while the metagame is pretty exciting for a lot of the roles, support has been a little bit stale. Do you like having to play kind of similar champions? Do you wish you could mix it up a little bit more?
Well, honestly, compared to last split, I'm playing more champs than I was at this point. I think it took like 4 weeks for me to not play either Tamkench or Nollis. So I'm playing more different champions this time around, so that feels good. Also, Rakan is one of the most fun support champs, so felt good to pull it out today. But yeah, I think having to play Nollis because it feels like in most cases Nollis is my best pick, and it's a very boring champ, so the meta is kind of boring.
Yep.
Yeah.
do you feel like you're getting to play different champions because you've been with the team a bit longer, you have a little bit more agency? Do you feel like the team is willing to be a bit more experimental, or it's just a little bit wider as far as what choices you can pick in the current meta?
I think it's just kind of my personal opinion about how much I can impact the game. I feel like most games I'm playing Nautilus, even though maybe my lane is stronger or I'm more reliable in team fights, I feel like I can do more with a champion like Rakan or maybe Thresh. I can offer more to my team, more like Rakan is more defensive than Nautilus is, or Thresh with the Lantern, you can both engage and disengage. So I feel like Nautilus is a bit useless compared to the other champs that offer much more, and the team value, in my opinion, is a lot. So that's pretty much it.
It's working out. I mean, the sheer amount of playmaking you have produced this split is already pretty incredible. But the wildest thing to me with all that is that somehow you've barely died. How is that possible for you to play aggressive champions, to make all these plays, but have only 3 deaths so far this split?
I think it's pretty easy for my position to not die much because a lot of my teammates are going in. He played Rumble today, goes in. He plays Galio, goes in as well. Blabber is a known inter, so he'll go in, soak the pressure, tank skill shots, So, and Eric, he's a weak side inter sometimes.
Specialist.
So he'll take specialist. Yes, that's what I meant. Weak side specialist. So he tanks the pressure well, and so I don't have to die a lot.
All right, well, so all that leads to my final question here, which is you are second currently on the global KDA leaderboard, not domestic, global KDA leaderboard. Zeitnot is currently ahead of you by a lot, but if he dies once, his KDA gets halved because he only has 1 death currently, and you would overtake him based on the current numbers. So are you clamoring for that rank 1 KDA spot?
Every night before I go to sleep, I just dream of being rank 1 global KDA, and that's why I'm not dying a lot. I'm playing for my KDA. I'm playing really insecure. I just hope I can be rank 1.
Well, it's certainly working out so well. Vulcan, thank you so much for chatting to me.
Thank you.
All right, well, for more on that game, Vulcan's KDA, and to break down the day, let's hand it back over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you, Pastry Time. It takes a 24/7 commitment through your dreams to be the championship caliber that Vulcan has brought to the table, alongside the rest of C9, who, what a surprise, have shown us once again that they continue to lead the league in wins and innovation.
Yeah, I mean, another Wukong game. It was really easy. It was just a clean execution. They counterpicked it. Doesn't matter. It's Wukong. Play it all the time. You heard LCKR say it last week in his interview. You can play it weak side. You can play it strong side. You can get counterpicked. It really doesn't matter. You just have to keep picking this champion.
Yeah, this was a nice blind pick. This is a blind pick from LCKR, so he's taking the counter. And yeah, like Mark said, he says in an interview, this champion is too OP, it doesn't matter. You should just pick it anyways. And to have no one else pick it, but LCKR is pretty crazy. Well, Mark, I guess, is picking it by eating a banana on camera. So that's his version of picking Wukong.
Yeah. Mark, can you do me a favor and say I slit the sheet I slit, and on the slitted sheet I sit?
No, I can't, and I don't have a banana in my mouth anymore. But I just couldn't say that normally. But yeah, Wukong's really strong. Standard. I mean, a lot of people talk about Wukong being like this weak side champ, but this is the second game in a row where a lot of the plays actually end up going to the top side, and it's where they blew a lot of the game open. There was an early gank to the bot lane for Blabber to blow some sums and stuff, but LCKR, after getting 2 solo kills, and he was like, oh, we can start pushing in top, and I win this matchup now. They did a good job actually playing around the Wukong because he has such good tools. He has high damage, high setup, 2 mobility spells, so you can do a great job executing around him, and people just need to get on that Wukong train.
Yeah, speaking of the things that Cloud9 brings to the table, and obviously Vulcan had some fun poking at the jungler there, but Wild Turtle, when we look at Cloud9, we talk about the strength that they've brought throughout game to game, but do you see any changes that they are making in striving for that consistent success?
I think they're just constantly getting better as well as the split's going on. Nothing much to say, just C9 doing C9 things.
When C9 is doing C9 things, though, and you're on the opposite side, you got a hefty task on your table. And CLG, we've got to evaluate it. We keep talking about whether they are a pretender or a contender in the second place bubble that we have currently within these standings. So, Prolly, how did you perceive their performance here against Cloud9?
Not good. I do think the early game C9 is like the most exploitable. That's where I think like you can actually go up to them. I still think they have probably the 3 strongest laners in the game, but the first 10 minutes is where you can grab your gold lead that we've seen this split, and that's the only way really to come back. If you can see like as soon as they hit the 10-minute mark with a gold lead, it's just constantly getting better for them. I mean, there's not really I don't see them slowing down in any of these gold graphs.
Yeah, I mean, we gave out that metric that we were going to say this is the C9 measuring stick. Try to have a gold lead by 10, try to have a gold lead by 20. It was a straight line down to the right.
Nosedive. That's it. Nosedive. We want a straight line, flat line. No nosedives, please.
But aside from the
nosedive right down.
Yeah. Aside from the nosedive and the general overall gold aspect that we've been using as that kind of stick tracker, do you feel that there are other things that Cloud9 could have done at certain points in the game to try and not allow that to get so out of control?
Yeah, I think CLG had a really good opportunity, and I'm going to pull up a little image for you guys to use your eyes on. Let's just look at that nice little mini-map we got there. So what we're seeing is, or what we know right now is, Lee Sin just level 2 ganked bot. And so we know his whole top side is up. But right now we have Wiggly making the choice to go into the bot side jungle. Now, this is bizarre to me. Not only because the top side is completely open for him to take control of, but if you see this top lane matchup, you see that little Wukong in the top, the little marky mark up there? He's playing such a volatile matchup. He's using his entire body to shove the wave in. So if you see Trundle at race right now, he could be at the enemy race right now. And imagine how terrifying this would be for the top lane Licorice to actually play this matchup out. This was a counter matchup they had, and they had a chance to actually give it pressure because of Blabber's choice to level 2 gank bot. But he goes bot here, he takes his wraiths, and now he's not in time to take any pressure off of the top laner. So this is the kind of stuff I think you can't make a mistake on. If Blabber level 2 ganks, you need to be able to punish that pretty quickly, or else you're probably not going to get anything, and that's exactly what happened. They didn't get anything off of the early game.
And yes, there is the pathing that comes into that, the jungle matchup that we're talking about. But Cloud9 has obviously, or not Cloud9, CLG has rather put a lot forward in trying to improve their synergy and unity as a team. Mark, do you feel that some of these mistakes were made on individuals, or was it just maybe some communication issues or overweighting or overstaying in certain points of the map?
It's hard to know without being inside there. We were all speculating what could possibly be Wiggly's intention. We were saying, oh, maybe it's about getting down bot side to cover a potential gank we were throwing out there. Maybe it's a predetermined route about wanting to clear down there and not playing to the Malphite Wukong side. Maybe the bot lane didn't say, well, what happened? And they're like, oh, yeah, Blabber's down here. You never really know on the outside, but either way, there is still this area of improvement that they could be making in terms of executing better in the early game. And that's where a lot of their problems stem and where they need to clean up the most.
And I'm sure they'll be looking back at this in an attempt to do so going into the matches they have ahead, because as per usual, these were just the first 2 matches that we have, and they started to shake up the standings. That clump of 5 that I talked about before that are currently tied in the 2nd place spot, CLG has now officially fallen out of, leaving Evil Geniuses, FlyQuest, Team Liquid, and TSM continuing to fight in that spot and gap that distance between themselves and Cloud9, while Golden Guardians, after their match today, have climbed and sit at 3 and 4 there in the 7th place of the standings. As far as kind of Golden Guardians and where they are standing within this, we've had some questions on their strength as a team. Probably, do you have any more confidence in them now with some of the tweaks that they've made towards the late game and the mid game to follow off on these early game leads that they've created?
That's a hard question. I don't know. Yes? I believe so.
I'm more I'm more optimistic on them. I bought their stock. I better be. They lost a lot of games, I think, from a misread on the meta, or maybe being bad at Nidalee. Whatever you want to call it, because teams are still winning with Nidalee elsewhere. I think regardless of that, they have a clear style that they want to execute on. They're trying to play it, and it looks okay. They need to start picking these wins up against better teams, though.
That's totally fair. I mean, we've talked about strength of schedule so much going into this. And some of the other teams at the bottom, we know Dignitas are still vying to make their way up towards the top. But for those that are still currently within the 2nd place standings, Wild Turtle, I know that FlyQuest, for instance, are in that clump. How do you feel about the way that we have been approaching when trying to talk about who the pretenders and contenders are, specifically speaking to FlyQuest and EG from coming over from Spring Split?
Well, I definitely think we're still contenders, we have a really good team, and I don't know what else to say about that, you know? Like, I think FlyQuest is definitely a contender. I mean, we finished second place last split, and I think we have Power of Evil and Santorin is really good mid jungle duo. Like definitely when PoE's on the control mages, and when we get the the super trundle pick, we're doing pretty solid. But
yeah,
definitely looking forward to the rest of the split.
And we will get to see a lot of this in action for the rest of the weekend because, as usual, LCS will be returning tomorrow on Saturday as well as Sunday, with Golden Guardians looking to close out the weekend 2-0 versus TSM to kick off tomorrow's broadcast. And then we do have Evil Geniuses and FlyQuest in game number 3 before Team Liquid face off against Immortals. A lot of important matchups here with so many currently tied within the standings. I know, Wild Turtle, you just had your remarks on how you feel FlyQuest and EG have been matched going into this. So excited to see all of that come on through. Now, as we go into the rest of the weekend and what we have to come on Sunday, this does include a classic matchup between CLG and TSM.
For me, the CLG-TSM rivalry died a long time ago.
For many new fans to the LCS, they won't even remember a time when the CLG versus TSM rivalry was relevant and going strong. It looks like CLG is on the back foot.
Oh, well, they're just free SM, you know?
The rivalry was insane. Probably like 80% of the fans of all LCS were just super invested in CLG or TSM.
The rivalry as it stands now, both teams are like shells of their former selves, but deep down, I still have like a fire to beat TSM more than like any other team.
I think it can come back because we're both competing for top team spots again. This is probably the match that has mattered the most between TSM and CLG in a long time.
It'll just be interesting. I think TSM isn't doing that great right now, and CLG, this split is really rebounding.
They're looking strong for sure. For me, I can't say that we are a top team unless we can beat CLG.
Let's go.
I feel like I could respect them if they showed up and played well against us, but they just have to do it. We usually crush CLG. I feel like this time it's going to be the same.
Right now, TSM isn't really a step. They're more of like a pebble in the road to reclaiming our legacy.
TSM are going up against Counter Logic Gaming. Tale as old as time, song as old as love.
Tale as old as time indeed, but I mean, according to the beginning of the video, Double F seems to think that this rivalry is dead. Wild Turtle, with your tenure, what is your take on it?
Yeah, it definitely feels like pretty old, you know, like the rivalry was definitely more apparent back then. I think nowadays C9 is also a pretty strong team, pretty hard to contest against. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, I like this FlyQuest EG budding rivalry even more. You have the nice guys, FlyQuest, the jerks EG, battling last split to try and get in final. Yeah, I like that. I like that new rivalry a lot more.
Yeah, old rivalries, new rivalries. We've got plenty of rivalries in the LCS. Hashtag Live Evil. But that's going to do it for us here on the Analyst Desk for Friday Night League. Of course, thank you, Wild Turtle, for joining us for our evenings of festivities. And if you're looking to keep the party rocking on, don't forget that the Sushi Dragon is covering your post-FNL shenanigans over on his own Twitch channel. So be sure to check that out to set your weekend off right. But now, on behalf of myself, the casters, and the entire remote broadcast crew, thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for more LCS, and until then, good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night.